fans, for another broadcast here from the Full Throttle Sim Racing League. This time we're coming at you live with the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series from the simulated Phoenix Raceway, or PIR, or Phoenix International Raceway, or however you want to say that. What a great day to be here. We got close to 30 entries in for tonight's race, the fourth race of 13 for the 2023 A season. Weather this time a little bit cooler. If you caught us on Wednesday, we were at 103 degrees on the track. This time you're going to catch that 94 degrees. In the air, it's only 77 with partly cloudy, so that just means more grip. And with the grip levels that the next gen provide typically, maybe we won't see 11 cautions this time around. Maybe it'll be a lot lower, or it could be on par. It is short track racing, and things are getting pretty dicey out here in practice. But my name, as always, you know me by Jay Stan or Jay Swifty or just Jeremy. And to my right, a new face you guys have not seen here on the Nerd Booth before, Mr. Jason Rockefeller. How are you doing tonight, my guy?
Doing good, man. Glad to be a part here of Nerditudes and Nerd TV for the my first race over here with Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. Should be a really interesting race tonight, especially Phoenix. The Cup car, it's always put on a really good show ever since they reconfigured this track on iRacing, especially with the package. So you're going to see a lot of guys slipping and sliding with how hot it is on the racetrack today. So it should be a great race, but glad to be a part of it.
This has always been one of my top 5 picks. The old Phoenix was #1 for me. And it took me a while to get used to this new layout. And after that, I'm like, boom, okay, I got this. We're good. I love this place again. So many options. We saw it on Wednesday. You see it in real life like you did yesterday. These guys on these restarts, the opening starts, it doesn't even in the middle of the race, row. They're spaced out. They take the dog leg. You take the upper half of the track if you want to not try to wreck your stuff. It's just an awesome race. There's so many options here. You can even run the apron in 1 and 2. So look forward for that. I have not seen as much variable as you do in the trucks, but these guys have a year now underneath their belts in these next gen cars, so they've learned it. They know how to do different things that we've seen prior. They're not so conservative with the setups, so that in itself should make a pretty awesome race here for the Full Throttle Sim Racing boys tonight.
Yeah, it should be awesome. I mean, that's the new thing about since iRacing scanned and they updated Phoenix, with this new layout. You're going to see a lot of guys on the restarts. The second they get across that line, everybody's going to be diving it all the way down to the bottom, like they're trying to dive into a 25-foot deep pool, or a 25 feet deep pool. So it's going to be interesting to see. But during the long runs, you're going to see guys maybe not use that dog leg as much, just like you would at any mile and a half. Like, for example, Chicago, Kansas. You're not going to see a lot of guys try to travel down to that flatter part because you're traveling at such a high rate of speed. You're just going to create more tire wear. So I don't expect guys to really use that bottom of the racetrack in the dog leg, probably after about 5 to 10 laps of a run. But regardless, I mean, it's going to be an interesting race to say the least, and I expect a lot of crazy restarts here tonight.
Yeah, we saw tons of action, even from the very first lap from the truck race this past Wednesday here at Full Throttle. The restarts 3. I think at one time we saw 4.5 wide for a moment, trying to get squeezed into turn 1. And for the most part, they make it work. But we did see a little bit of a flaw. I don't know, last week. We only have like 1 caution here, maybe 2, Jason. I know you're new, so they usually very little cautions here. But we had 11 this past Wednesday. I know it's a new set of guys here with a different car, so it could look a lot different. I want to run down the points race here because we're almost into the 3rd of the season here. I know we're into the 4th, but Nicholas Moreau only has a 3-point lead over second place now, Richie Coy, who had a terrible start at Daytona, had to work his way back up, and now he's sitting in 3rd place, trying to take Nicholas Moreau, Rocket Man Moreau, who loves to qualify first, get his team on the pole. And then another Moreau Motorsports, Matthew Vachon. He's 17 points out, tied with Wayne Grossi, also 17 points out here for the points battle. So couple guys kind of put their names out early. Troy Torgerson, newcomer, 5th place, only 26 points out, so don't count him out. He's had some really strong runs, like at California. Ran pretty decently at Daytona for the most part. So it's a good mix-up, good pace, but at the end of the day, the 2 fastest guys that we've seen week in and week out, they hold the charts 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You're seeing a lot of guys. Their best laps, as I'm looking right here on the racer practice leaderboard. A lot of guys in the 2/10 bracket right now, from about third on to about 10th right there. That's when you start getting into the 3s, the 4s, the 5s. But right now, Fred Moreau and Richie Coy right now, top of the board with the 27.01 and the 27.05. Those are two guys who you're going to have to look out for tonight, and you're going to have to beat them. But it's anybody's race. So, I mean, you just got to be consistent here tonight. This obviously is a flatter track, so it's kind of a little bit of a driver's control track, per se, because you're going to see a lot of guys slipping and sliding out of the corners. You saw it in practice off turn 2. A lot of guys always get involved in wrecks off turn number 2 because they're just trying to get so wide into the corner and then just slip up and lose it.
That is very accurate, and right now it is qualifying time. Practice is officially over, so hopefully they got what they need. We're going to be on board with your second place person in the practice session, Richie Coy. Jason, also to notate, Fred Moreau does not qualify. You will see this guy go from 30th place in the field every time and get inside the top 5, probably within the first 30 to 40 laps. We do have a stage break here on lap 60, so don't worry about that 5 car. He's intentionally not qualifying. He will be back up to the front. It's almost guaranteed every week. But right now, 19, Richie Coy's on his opening lap here. Took the green flag as he crossed that line about 10 seconds ago, as he's now coming off of turn 2, which he made that mistake quite a few times. I, myself, am still not fully adjusted to the track change and getting these things open. But he's electing Jason to take the top to get lap 2 underneath his belt for the full speed lap.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're going to see a lot of guys. They try to use that first lap, basically as their out lap, coming to green, and then they're just going to try to fly. I really did it a lot at Charlotte, especially at Kansas, stuff like that. But you see him right now. He's trying to roll the middle, kind of hitting the apex perfectly a bit, but he's right there in that middle. You saw in the Cup Series on Sunday, guys were all over the racetrack. Sometimes that middle lane, but especially down right on that yellow line, is where, the runs tend to generate from. But this is going to be a solid lap for Coy here, and fellow New Jersey and myself, so love to see Jersey being represented here in this series. But right now, it looks like he's top of the board here with a 27.02 over Brody Hanna, who has a 27.05.
He almost got to Fred Moreau's time, so close, only by a 10th, or a 100th rather, did he miss that one. So we already got 24 people with times down. Got a couple newcomers, one being Colton Gum. He's waiting to take his lap time sitting on pit road. Ryan Chapman crossing the lane right now. I think he just took lap 2. No, took lap 1. He ran a 28.23 his opening lap. Let's see what Ryan can do. So he's trying to... No, actually, I think that was lap 2. I think he gave up on that lap.
Yeah, Nicholas Moreau, though, actually just went up to the top of the board. He outran Richie Coy by just 1/100th of a second. So he's at the top of the board now with a 27.01. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody can top Nicholas Moreau here in the rest of qualifying. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's about the fastest lap we've seen other than his teammate Fred Moreau. So I'm going to just assume at this point that Moreau Motorsports will take the pole. Rocket Man Moreau, no stranger to starting in first place in most of these races. Going to the chats here before we kick it over to the race session. On YouTube, we got Robert Curtis, Chris Curtis' dad, saying, "Let's go, Chris, number 98." And then Holly Andrews coming up saying, "Let's go, Moreau Brothers." So we got a new person in the chats. Welcome, Holly. We'll love to shout you out if you continue to, participate with us. We like to do that each and every week, Monday and Wednesdays, on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. And then on the Facebook side of things, Ricky Harden saying, "Good luck, boys." So throw in your chats, throw in conversation. We love to bring you in. We got about a minute left in this qualifying session, Jason, and it looks like most of the guys that are going to qualify are taking their time other than Justin Diltz. Looks like he's coming out for his lap 1.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if those guys like Justin Diltz, Colton Gum just posted his lap right now sitting with a 27.89, currently 25th on the board, and Justin's 24th with a 27.69. Don't believe he is going to possibly get his lap up to the top of the charts, but we'll have to see here. I believe he's going to be coming to the checkered flag right now. Justin Diltz from Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, nearby. I'm close enough to him, but really loose right there out of the corner. You saw him right there And he's going to jump up to 13th on the chart that time around, 27.43. So top 15 starting spot for him. But it looks like to be that's going to wrap up qualifying. I believe Nicholas Moreau will have the pole position for tonight's race here in the desert at Phoenix.
I'm really surprised Justin took that 13th place. It looked like he kind of chased the car up, like you said, got a little loose there in entering 3, went really wide and had to be patient with the throttle, but he still ended up with a pretty decent time overall. So good job by Justin at 91 to get himself mid-pack here for the starting of the 4th race of the 2023 A season. And this is going to wrap up qualifying. So it is time to get our mugs off your guys' screen. We're going to go full screen action for the rest of the way, to the green flag to the checker flag. And since these guys are going to be gridding up, we're going to go down your starting lineup for tonight's Phoenix 200. Nicholas Moreau is going to take P1 with everyone. P2, we're going to find Richie Coy. Second place, row 2, Brody Hanna, Richie's teammate. Starting in 4th, Jeff Chandler. 5th place, row 3, you're going to find Josh Mayu. 6th place, Kyle Milliken. 7th place, Brian Bliss. 8th, Lane Allen. 9th place, Steve Loomis. And top 10, Sherwood Williford.
Yeah, and then to round out your top 20. Starting 11th, you have Tony Soler right there, starting 11th, and Wayne Grossi in that number 7 machine. He'll start 12th in tonight's event. Next to the row, Justin Diltz, who just posted that fast qualifying lap. He'll start 13th tonight, along with Ryan Hedrick in the number 47, starting 14th tonight. Chad Lang starting 15th, along with Robert Milliken in 16th. 17th, Ryan Chapman and Stephen Llewellyn in 18th. And 19th and 20th, you got Brian Dublé, and you also have Jonathan Vachon.
21st, Chris Curtis. 22nd place, Robert Anderson. 23rd, Justin Lish. 24th place, Chris Beck. 25th, Colton Gum. 26th, Matthew Vachon. 27th place, Timothy Stubblefield with Stub Nation. Where are they at in the chats? I'm not sure. Let's get them going. 28th place, Troy Torgerson, who's got his furthest start in the field since he's joined in for the 2023 season. And last caller to qualify, 29th, Matt Knight. Rounding out the rest of the field, Fred Moreau in the 5 is going to start 30th, which don't expect him to be there long. 31st, James Wallace. 32nd, Joshua Johnson. And Alan Crowell once again rounds out tonight's 33 car lineup. Pace car is already down. We got the 1 pace lap here to get this race underway. These guys are coming up to the green flag. Got to wait a long time between that pace car coming down pit road and going to the start-finish line off the exit of 4 here. Green flag is officially out. The race is on here at the Phoenix 200 at the simulated Phoenix Raceway. Not many cars. Jason taking that early dogleg cut. I expected a lot more 2-3 wide action there, but they come through turn 1 and 2 now. Richie Coy in the 19, Nicholas Moreau there in the 15 are already single filed out. Brody Hannon on the inside there of Jeff Chandler entering 3.
Yeah, those guys, you see the 31 of Jeff Chandler, really wide entry there into turns 3 and 4. But it looks like Brody Hanna right now is going to take that position away using that dog leg. But right now, Nicholas Moreau, Richie Coy already out front. You see cars in the back of the field. Everybody's just on top of each other right now, trying to fight for every piece of real estate here as they head off turn 2 on lap number 2.
A lot of the cars are spaced out. Looks like back into 12th, 13th place is where we're going to start finding 2 and 3 wide action here. The 3, Brian Bliss getting around the 47 of Ryan Hedrick. That will take over 12th place there. Those guys kind of figure it out. Now it's really back almost to 20th place before you find anyone really 2 wide. I think the first car there, the 97, Joshua Vachon, just getting passed there by, it looked like the 22. Oh, Jonathan Vachon heading to the inside wall, gets turned on lap number 3. The first caution presented by Roasted Jim's Coffee is already out. 2 laps longer than what we saw in the truck race on Wednesday, and Vachon just pounded the outside wall there off of exit of 2.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here at your Nerd TV replay just off the corner. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a part of it. Jeremy. You're going to see a lot of guys. I said it right in the pre-race show. You're going to see a lot of guys either lose it off the corner or they were going to get too tight. I've seen a lot, whether it be real or sim racing. A lot of guys hit that wall off turn number 2 and unfortunately caused mayhem and chaos behind them. But luckily, only a 2-car incident. Lucky that nobody else was taken out in that incident.
And it wasn't the Allstate Mayhem guy that was involved in that one, but Robert Anderson there in the 53, byproduct of that. You see him headed to the outside wall, and boom, his front wheels came off the ground as he got loose a little bit there from the initial contact, and it looked like a quick overcorrect or whatnot. It sent the car to the outside wall, so 2 cars in total with damage here. 53 coming to the service of his crew right now. He's got about 2 or 3 laps before they go back to green to get that thing repaired. 2 cars out with some damage early on, especially the fast cars. Anthony Jonathan Vachon, part of Moreau Motorsports. Really fast team week in and week out. And that's just sometimes you start mid to rear of the pack and things just happen.
Yeah, that's the thing sometimes, you just start in the back of this field, you're going to have the guys who aren't obviously the best with qualifying time. Maybe they're better with race pace. Some guys we talk about before, you said another driver, you said Fred Moreau, didn't like qualifying, but he was always going to be fast. That's the thing. You put yourself back there, and your risk at being involved in an incident, especially earlier on in the race, is so high, and it happens at pretty much any racetrack you go to. That's why you want to try to get a good qualifying position so you can start up towards the front and race around the competition that usually has a little bit more respect, a little bit cleaner. They know it's early, and they can take care of their stuff really, really well.
And as these cars are going around the caution laps here, we'll have to give a shout out to our series sponsor to open this thing up. Actually, we got our hashtag Get a Grip Lucky Dog Award winner to James Wallace in the 67. Great producing artwork there by my guy Dustin behind the scenes. I did not realize there was already a car lap down, but he's got it out there. So James Wallace with the early Lucky Dog Award going out to the 67. But back to the Mach-1 Performance. Love to give him a shout out here. It's a race fabrication shop that was started by the late Johnny Coy Jr. Shop has produced champions and winners of all sorts of racing divisions, from road circuits like the SCCA and NASA to dirt and pavement oval racing. Visit them on Facebook at facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance. And if you're in the area, stop by their shop. They got really high quality products and tools to get your car ready and race winning worthy. As we're going to come to about 1 lap to go here on this caution lap. To start off, lap 8 will be the lap we go back to green flag action. Now Richie knows how the 15 is going to restart. Does he get a better start here? Maybe contend for the on the outside here, Jason?
Yeah, that's the thing though. You're going to have a lot of guys trying to dive down to that inside lane below that yellow line and that seam to try to get on the dog leg, try to get as much track position as they can. Honestly, I don't really see Richie being able to do much besides try to be side by side with Nick on that number 15 machine. If he really wants to try to pass Richie, I really think, or if Richie wants to pass Nicholas, I think he really has to try to just stick up in the middle of the outside lane, let the car rotate through the center and kind of try to arc it down to the bottom of the racetrack, get the runoff too. But it's going to be interesting. Still long, long ways to go. So if he wants to try to get, contend for this lead against Nicholas Moreau, he's going to have to be patient, but he's going to have to work the wheel for sure.
And we've seen some strategy changes we have not seen previous in 2022 with that stage break that's coming up on lap 60, about a third of the way through this race. That does allow some drivers to really just hammer down all the way through stage 1. They know what their car feels like on the long run, make their adjustments, and then set up for stage 2. But we're back to green flag action. Everybody looks like in the front half of the field going down blue yellow line through the dog leg, coming through turn 1 and 2. Looks like Nicholas Moreau is going to be in familiar territory as the 19 almost goes side by side with his teammate Brody Hannon here, but they quickly go single file, and it looks like everyone's going to come through turn 2 nice and clean, but a lot more 2x2 action back midfield.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these guys, Jeremy, they're just going to kind of be lights out and away they go like they usually do in Formula One. As we ride on board with Tony Soler right now in that number 11 machine, he's just trying to really just, work track position, pass cars as much as he can. But those front 5 cars, usually they'll get out to a jump, be single file, and then it's a dogfight for positions behind them.
Yeah, these guys quickly go single file. Looks like they took some notes from Wednesday and were like, you know what, guys? We got a long race. There's no reason to have a lot of cautions to keep our noses clean and be there at the end, because you can't win it if your car's, behind the wall or on pit road for repairs early on. But so a lot of single file early on. Mid pack about 15th is where you start to see these 2x2 things here. We got the 91 Justin Diltz back 2 spots from his starting spot and 15th right now. He was temporarily side by side with 98 Chris Curtis. Look like that is cleared up. Looks like Stephen Lou Allen, who loves to run the top lane of the most tracks he goes to. He's up a position or 2, trying to clear the 98 right now.
Yeah, now we're riding on board with Stephen Lou Allen. He's just trying to get to that quarter panel. Good job by the number 98 of Chris Curtis to not get up into the number 91 of Justin Diltz there in the center of 1 and 2, because he got really close and hanging on that left rear. And that's the thing about turns 1 and 2, Jeremy. You just get so loose or so tight depending on your driving style heading through those corners. And as these tires wear out, you're going to see a lot of guys lose grip. They're going to try to make moves maybe that they think they can make. But because, we haven't really had, obviously, because it's so early in this race, we haven't had that long green flag run yet. You're going to see guys slipping and sliding, getting off the corners, maybe tank slapping the wall, but you just got to really be careful the moves you make to not try to take yourself out or any of your other competitors out here.
Yeah, Jonathan Vachon, one of the early ones to show us not what to do by tank slapping that turn 2 wall. That wall comes at you in a hurry. I know turn 4 really blends upward and it takes a lot to get up to there, but turn 2, it used to be really sharp here on the old configuration, but it's still sharp on the new one even. They give you just a little more buffer, but it flattens out quick. And we've already seen a couple guys get really close. I saw Lou Allen almost graze at that time. I saw the 53 who was involved in that first track. He came up really close to Robert Anderson, really close to scraping that wall as well. But as we're back on board, Stephen Lou Allen's front roof camera here. Entering turn 1, you see a lot of space now between these guys, other than what he just gave the 26 of Matthew Vachon. Looks like Lou Allen's trying to work that middle groove in, Jason. He loves the outside. He loves the middle of the track. There's a lot of space up there. If you can get your car to rotate without overdriving it, it works well. But look who's just passed Lou Allen, that 5 car, Fred Moreau. Remember I mentioned he started 30th and will be back to the front? Yeah, we're 15 laps in. He's already moved up 12 positions to 18th. Fred Moreau, on a mission as always, coming to the field.
Yeah, Fred's plus 12 from where he started. You said it in the pre-race. He likes to start in the back, never qualifies, and it shows right now that he's got a very fast car. In fact, he actually just moved up another position, so that's plus 13th. Or he sits 17th right now on the board. So good job by Fred Moreau.
Ryan Chapman, 24. Stephen Lou Allen, 2 cars. Heavy Impact's going to bring out your second caution presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. Trying to go back to the field to see if I saw anybody else. Jason, sorry to cut you off, but I wasn't sure if you initially caught that. Ryan Chapman, hard impact into the outside retaining wall, nose first. That car is all but shot there. You saw it, almost all 4 wheels came off the ground. Comes to a stop. Oh, and James Wallace there tried to squeeze the gap there and hit the outside wall as well. So it looks like 3 total cars with some damage.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. It's so early. You just got to be careful. Can't be making these kind of moves, and everything like that. We're going to get a Nerd TV replay here. Just unfortunate, circumstance. Just racing really hard through the dog leg. Ryan Chapman involved. Tough break for him out of Westbrook, Connecticut. It's so early. These guys got to really be careful. If you got to use that dog leg, use that dog leg. That's the thing, though. I always thought that going through the dog leg, if you didn't use the dog leg and you actually used the racing surface, it was so tight around there. You always felt like you were flying. It was so hard not to get into people. So that's why it's nice to see that dog leg is provided if you need it. But unfortunately, just driver error. It's so early. These guys just got to be careful.
Well, as you guys are going down pit road, it looks like about a handful of drivers are going to be come to the service of the crew. We're going to go quick commercial, picture-in-picture mode. We'll be back with you guys here in just a few moments. And back to full screen coverage here for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. As we got about a half a track left before these guys go back to green flag for the third official time. They go green flag racing. We saw our truck series current points leader Ryan Chapman heave into the outside wall. That last time we were back to I had a brain fart there. I do apologize. Before we cut it back to commercial break, rather, to start the second caution of this race. But we're about to go back to green flag. Your same two guys up here up front, the 15 and the 19, as the green flag does fly. The 15 with an excellent start this time over the 19 quickly clears Richie Coy. Brody Hanna trying to follow suit, and he does. Gets in third place as the top five kind of go single file really early on there. I want to shout out to the YouTubes once again. Jessica Stubblefield always making her presence known with Let's Go Stubbs Nation. Holly Andrews back. Thanks for the warm welcome. You are very welcome. And Doyle Lawrence turning in a bit late, which is no problem to us, my guy. Let's go Jeff Chandler. So Jeff Chandler's got a fan out there. Thank you for your chats and continue to show support here. But going back to the race, looks like top 10 have kind of filed single. Brian Bliss is the first guy trying to clear. Steve Loomis, 17, he does. That's going to put 10th and 11th side by side. That being Steve Loomis and Chad Lang.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, everybody's really just side by side right now, trying to get as much as they can. Those first five, like I talked about that last stint that we were running, Jeremy. You saw that front five; they kind of just darted away, and then everybody, it was just a dogfight back behind them. As you take a look at the number 17 of Steve Loomis right there on the bottom of Brian Bliss. Looks like now he's under fire from Chad Lang. Got to be easy coming into turn 3. Seen a lot of guys lock it up sometimes down there, or they just get really tight, slide up into the drivers on the outside lane.
A lot of cars attempted to make the dog leg there, but it always surprises me. Like, at least from the booth, and when you're racing, you don't notice it, but when these guys go to that dog leg, they fan out so wide, and you're like, there's no way they're going to come back all together and make the corner, and they sure do. Because you only gain just a very marginal difference there on the bottom. It is a huge shortcut, but you got to watch the tire wear because you're hitting the apron transition. You could upset the car and get it loose. A couple of different things could happen. You could even turn off a turn 4 really sharp, lose a lot of tire wear, making that sharp corner down to the bottom. So short run, you're like, heck yeah, man, this thing feels great. And then the long run, you're like, man, I wish I didn't do that. So you just kind of watch your stuff here. But there is that stage break in 35 more laps. As we're almost 3 wide here in the back, we're going to kick it over to the 37 here of Dublé. Brian Dublé, he was 3 wide temporarily with Justin Diltz. He gets clear of him in the 22 of Robert Malakin, as now the 37 and 24 side by side coming to the turn 1.
Yeah, they're just trying to do everything to not collide and stuff like that. As you see the 37, he's doing that wide angle right now up on the top side of the racetrack. Got to be careful you don't tank slap the wall off the corner, but so far everybody doing a really good job right now. We got a wreck right there, 24 sideways, and he's able to save it, I believe. What a nice job by the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn to save that car and not... Oh my goodness, what a save. Talk about save. That could just be save of the race right there as we're so early in.
And that was the 52 of Matt Knight. It looked like Matt just drove it in a little deep. You saw some tire smoke, at least I did, right before the contact occurred. And then the 24, yeah, it is harder to save these next-gen cars compared to the previous-gen Cup cars. So excellent heads-up driving and awesome wheel work there by the 24 Stephen Llewellyn to keep that thing pointed straight. Only lost a spot or two. It's not good for the tire wear situation, but you do have that stage break guaranteed, at least another caution. But, yeah, good catch there and excellent driving by the 24.
Yeah, and it's so early on, you got to think to yourself, too, what did that just do to his tires? Because he was sliding for about half that corner going into turn 3. And you just see right now, he's just continuing to just ride up on the outside lane. Got one car below him. And he's just trying to continue on, make sure that he keeps the tires on that thing, because it's a long race to go. Hopefully he can get to that lap 60 stage caution. And he's just kind of just dropping back a little bit ever since that incident. He just got passed by the 31 of Jeff Chandler. And now Alan Crowell, he's going to try to run him down in that number 41 machine.
Number 3 of Brian Bliss trying to make the pass here with the 4 of Chad Lang, and that car got really upset entering turn 3. It almost had a domino effect if they were behind him, and then Brian Bliss off of turn 4 got loose on the flats. Almost spun it. It looked like, and he's going to drive it an early break in 5 of Fred Moreau. Makes contact to the rear end. He was not expecting that early break in, but they're still going straight, so that's the positive thing.
Yeah, that was really good driving by Brian Bliss right there in that number 3 machine, because he could have easily went around. You've seen sometimes how touchy these NASCAR Next Gen cars are, and depending on the type of bumper that you have on the front end of your race car, sometimes it can upset certain cars in a certain way, especially if you're like a Chevy or a Toyota. So good job by Brian Bliss to save that race car. Not that big of a hit, but it was enough to probably maybe get him sideways, but great driving on his end.
Going back to the YouTube chats, Jennifer Ray also with Stub Nation saying, let's go Stub Nation. So they have finally made their appearance here with multiple entries into the Stub Nation cheerleading squad area. Let's see what they can do with their drivers. He's currently not really progressing well. He started 27th. Timothy is still in 27th. So that 12 machine is just not where it needs to be here for the first short track-ish style race of the season. And we know his 1.5 mile to 2 mile track setups are on point, but right now the short track is not really in favor for Stub Nation.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know, some guys, you know, they just like tracks better than others. Oh, we got a wreck right there on the back straightaway. One car around.
Yeah, it's going to bring the third caution out, presented by Roasted Jim's Coffee. And if I'm not mistaken, is that Ryan? No, it's not Ryan Chapman. Is that? Who is that? Trying to get back to there. Justin Diltz. Justin Diltz in the 91. That's the guy. Thank you, Dustin, once again in my ear telling me everything that's going on the track right in real time. But it looks like Diltz in turn 1 and 2 just got upset. And right in front of the 31. And no fault to the 31 there. Jeff Chandler, just the 91 could not get the throttle down. And the 31 had, you know, you can't wait forever, right? So he made the contact to the bumper right there.
Oh, there was contact.
You saw it. And it sent him, and was that the 53 or 52 who got nose slammed into the outside wall? I think it was the 52 there. So it looks like 2 cars with damage in this one as well.
Yep. Just, you know, aggressive driving, unfortunately, early on. A little bit of help there, you know, from Chandler. Gave him that shot. And that's the thing. You get 2 drivers who are lined up on the bottom of the racetrack like that, especially when you're running the same line. That's why Phoenix, you know, round of applause to this track for being such a multi-groove racetrack into turns 1 and 2. But, you know, unfortunately, the 91 just got some help there from Chandler and went around right there.
As you see, we're on board there. Watching Brian Dublé go around. There's the 53 of Robert Anderson clearing them out, and you see a handful of cars once again coming down pit road for the service of their crews. We're going to kick it back to commercial break here, and we'll be back with you right before the drop of the green flag for the 4th green flag flown this evening. And back to full screen coverage here. The pace car has dipped down. This will be the third restart attempt, fourth overall start here for the full throttle sim racing race here at Phoenix 200. Waiting for the two guys who have done this now 4 times in a row. The 15 of Nicholas Moreau and the 19 of Richie Coy. 23 of Brody Hanna as well. These 3 guys started 1, 2, 3 every single start. Green flag is out. Very similar story other than the 23 this time getting a better launch than his teammate 19 and Richie Coy. Ending off in a turn number 1, the 19, the preferred lane, it looks like the 23 just can't stick the bottom there in 1. He's going to give up position back up to his teammate, the 19 of Richie Coy, which also, that's his teammate. He knows he's a lot faster. And that last stint there, the 19 and the 23 really spaced out from each other in just about 10 laps time span. So I would not be surprised to see that happen once again. Top 5 really spaced out, and they're fanning out back there in 10th on back.
Oh, yeah, they're fanning out for sure, Jeremy. But I want to point out, Nicholas Moreau, he made the first mistake I've pretty much seen him make all night. He was very wide coming into turns 3 and 4, and Richie Coy was able to close up the bumper on him just enough by about a car length, put a car length between them. So if Nicholas could possibly make more mistakes like that, Richie Coy could take advantage of Moreau's mistakes. And right now, he's only back behind him by about a car length and a half. So Richie can keep up with him. It's just going to be about if they can get enough long runs to see if Coy can get past Moreau there in the number 15 as they head down the backstretch into 3.
In these short runs that we've had, it's going to be a really tall task for the 19 to do so. They've already got about 5 car lengths on the 23 there, and that gap will continue to grow and grow. But the 19, he's learning the 15's tricks. I think he's got a little something for him. Remember, these guys have 5 total sets of tires, and we've had 3 cautions. So we got to start asking the question about the tire situation. You know, you can't be pitting too early, get that advantage. It might feel good now, but if we have a continual trend of cautions like we saw on Wednesday and what we're starting to see tonight, you don't want to take all your tires too early, dry up pit road, and then come into this race late and be like, well, I'm a sitting duck because I've already used my stuff up. So, but right now, during this little stint here before we get to lap 60, 19 Richie Coy is putting on, I think, the best pressure on Nicholas Moreau so far.
Yeah, you just got to continue to put that pressure on. But we haven't, like you said, and like I said beforehand, we haven't gotten those long runs. And right now, this is probably the only time these guys can get a somewhat longer run here, you know, before that stage break at lap 60. But yeah, I mean, tires definitely do come into play here, especially in this little run, you know. As we see one car, I believe that's the 7 of Wayne Grasse right there. He almost got wide off turn number 2, almost tank slapped the wall. Josh Mayu was almost able to take that position away from him. But yeah, tires are definitely going to start wearing out, but I wouldn't expect them to wear out too much considering the fact that we've only gone a certain amount of laps with all these green flag runs that we've had tonight. But right now, 14 of Stephen Allen looking underneath the 0-2 car of Josh Mayu off turn number 2.
As they are side by side, coming through turns 3 and 4, and it looks like he will easily make that pass happen. I want to give a couple shout outs here. These guys, it always surprises me who comes to the front. James Wallace, one of those late run guys, but he's showing really impressive speed. We've had a bunch of short runs. That 67 always takes the last half of the stint to really make his gains, but right now he started 31st. This guy is inside the top 10. He's in 9th place. A huge shout out to the 67 camp of James Walston bringing a fast early run setup into this race. Wayne Grossi, you just mentioned him moments ago, he started 12th. He's worked his way up to 4th. So back to a single car team, Wayne Grossi Racing. He's got a nice little short track package here at Phoenix. And also Fred Moreau, you got to point him out because, you know, it's always amazing to see this guy go from 30th to 12th. So we're coming up to close to lap 50. So a couple of guys making some pretty impressive moves. What'd you see on the track there, Jason?
Yeah, just saw the 5 right there. Almost got right up into the wall. He was side by side, Fred Moreau. He almost got right up into the wall, I think, with Matthew Vachon. But yeah, good job by the 5 of Moreau right there. He was able to save it, and you see him right now trying to work past Robert Anderson there in the number 53. I believe that Fred probably isn't really moving up all that much right now, probably because of how hard he's run that car here in this first little stint before this stage break. Because ever since we went back green, he really hasn't moved up that much. Still 13th from that previous caution. So gonna have to see what he can do to that car. As you see him try to cross over the 53, gets right to his bumper there into turns 1 and 2. You just have a whole gaggle of cars there right behind the 53. This looks like a locomotive on Christmas going around the Christmas trees to head into 3.
Yeah, right behind the 5 camp, we got a bunch of 2x2 racing here. The 57, Joshua Johnson, then side by side with the 98 of Chris Curtis. As they're going to remain side by side until the dogleg. Can he get clear this time? It looks like momentarily he will. And it looks like almost 3 wide there with the 17, the 11, and the 26. No, not 26. I apologize. 39 there. Troy Torgerson. They go back to two wide action there. You can't do 3 wide here. I mean, it looks like you can. You have enough space through the dogleg especially, but if you want to make the corners, you mentioned this track multi-groove, which it is, but a lot of these guys so far have run the medium part of the track to the low end side, not really up to the top. When you go 3 wide, you start to find the marbles. We are 50 laps into this race now, so heavy impact there by the 17. Steve Loomis hits the outside wall like a ton of bricks and still going straight. Was that Chris Curtis? Actually, that was Chris Curtis. I apologize. That was the 98 coming off there with the sun glare. I couldn't tell exactly who it was. I knew it was a black car, but 98 still running strong there considering he just pounded the outside wall in turn 2.
Yeah, we're going to have to see, though, if he has any more damage on that right side, because that wasn't just 1. That was 2 good licks to the outside wall. He licked that wall probably harder than I licked my vanilla ice cream cones in the summertime. That was a really hard hit to the outside wall. It's really interesting to see the fact that he's still driving that thing. And like you said, Jeremy, he doesn't really look like he's hurt that much. I mean, by the looks of it down the front straightaway, I'm not seeing that much damage to that car. So shout out to him. He must have hit that wall just good enough to where he doesn't really have a lot of damage, but only time's going to tell. Maybe it would have hurt his tire wear a little bit, could have pushed in those fenders on those tires to make them a little tighter, but we'll see here as they close in on lap number 60.
Also, shout out to my new partner, Jason Rockefeller, bringing the awesome analogies out here. Entertained by those so far. And also going to the chats, Doyle Lawrence, we heard you. We hopefully got a little better shots here. And also saying go Jeff Chandler Racing, and Torgensen for that matter. So a couple guys he's shouting out there. Let's see if they can have a better second half of this race right now. Jeff Chandler running 23rd. Torgensen, actually we got a 4th caution. The number 52 is spun just outside of the start-finish line there in the dogleg session. That's Matt Knight, a part of his 2nd caution this evening. The 4th one presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. And Jason, he was slow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then did the apron kind of just kick him sideways, or what's going on there?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I mean, he was going really slow. I mean, let's face it, folks. It's pretty hard to lose a race car like that when you're going that slow. And he wasn't really even on the apron that much. I mean, he could have. Maybe he accidentally downshifted. I mean, because, listen, hey, we've done it. I've done it before. I am guilty of doing that, especially in these next-gen cars, being a sequential shifter. Whether you use paddles or whether you use a sequential gearbox where you actually have to use stick. It's interesting, but yeah, I mean, he had some damage on that right side, so obviously he was pretty slow. He might have hit the wall maybe off turn number 2, and then he was just killed. Maybe wanted a caution, could have spun himself out, but hey, not putting any blame on anybody. We're under caution here, but it's going to get interesting possibly here on pit road, Jeremy. We might have some takers here as we close in on lap 60.
Yeah, we saw this Wednesday to where the stage break was right on top of the caution. We had a 1-lap shootout between that restart and going to stage break, and right now we are 5 laps shy of stage break. These guys will probably take the green flag in 3 laps or so, so we're gonna have like a green-white checker-ish style event here to end the stage 1 as we see a car going around for his lucky dog pass. That's going to be the 44 of Chris Beck with the Martin Sports hashtag Get a Grip Lucky Dog Award, as he's going to go from 5 laps down to 4 laps down. If he can get a few more of these cautions, you know, that 44 might be sitting pretty to get some laps back. He's the trend is in his favor, so we'll see what happens the rest of the way for the 44. But yeah, Matt Knight, he's 17 laps down when he did spin out. No, granted, these next-gen cars don't have much of a suspension. They don't travel far. I did see his wheels kick up, when he hit the apron transition, so it could have just been an honest mistake. But especially when you're so far back, you hate to see that kind of thing happen. But it does happen. He's just trying to get out of the way and just made him probably just an honest mistake, it looks like.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It happened right in front of our leaders, I believe, too. So good thing that they didn't get involved. But interesting thing about our leaders, guys, Nicholas Moreau did not pit. He pitted last on lap 34. And guess who came into the pits? Richie Coy just pitted on lap 54. So he's going to be starting at the back. Richie knows that he's got a very, very fast car. So if he wants to try to make it to the end of this stage right here, because I'm assuming we're probably going to get the 1 lap to go signal right here and duke it out for a couple laps, he's got to be very, very careful. And we'll see here as they come across the line. And yes, we will go racing this time around. So Richie's got to be very, very careful. He's going to be restarting around 22nd, 23rd. Man, he's got a fast car. You'd hate to see it, Jeremy, if he were to get caught up in a late stage accident.
Do you see the pit stop strategy there within the top 4 on your upper center half of your screen? And when these guys coming close to their stage break there, Jason, they close pit road with 2 to go. So essentially, as soon as this green flag flies, you're going to see pit road close, so no one else can pit. Now, if Richie can just log really slow laps for the next 2 laps, he's going to pass the 15 just by natural of, just pitting. He doesn't have to come down during the stage break. So it's going to put him out in front. So he must be feeling confident that if he can get around the 15, he might have something to keep himself in front of the 15 for the long half of the stage 2. But we'll find out here in 2 laps as Nicholas Pro is going to try to take Brody Hanna this time on the restart here. And green flag is out the 15 as normal. Cuts deep into the dogleg, followed by the 7, 67.02. They're going to fan up top. Wayne Grossi trying to get second place here.
Yeah, Grossi's just riding that bottom lane. He's under attack, though, from Brody Hanna in that number 23 machine. He'll rip that top lane. Going to be side by side down the back straightaway, and Nicholas Moreau give him about 3 car lengths gap between second and third. He'll come around this time to lap 59 here as the gaggle of cars behind them still 2 by 2, trying to go 3 and 4 wide as they head down the front stretch into 1.
Oh, heavy impact to the outside wall. And it looks like it was a self-spin from the 53.
Oh, we got one flipping.
53, Robert Anderson started that thing, just hard cut to the outside wall and destroyed it. And then you saw a car flipping. Looks like multiple cars involved.
Yeah,
They
Matthew Vachon went upside down.
Matthew Vachon, I think there's like 6 or 7 cars in this. We're going to try to catch all the numbers here.
It was a big wreck.
Yeah, I see the 41's involved in that thing. The 14, the 53, the 39 of Torgerson. A lot of different drivers.
Now the question's going to be, though, if Richie Coy possibly got damaged. We'll have to see, because you were just talking about, Jeremy. Wow, what a hit to the outside retaining wall for the number 53 of Robert Anderson. Honestly, we're going to have to get another replay possibly on that. That was interesting. That car snapped going into the dog leg. That was very interesting. You just see right here. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it just snaps on him and just collects a bunch of... And the 19 was involved, Jeremy. Oh, my goodness. One of the most dominant cars all day, besides the 15, is involved. Oh, my goodness. We talked about Richie Coy trying to log laps, and he was. And unfortunately, just a victim of just unfortunate circumstances there. But what an odd wreck. The 53 hits the seam, I believe, and it just snaps on him.
Yeah, the 19 actually gave a little too much space to the top. He had plenty of space turned down. I don't know if he realized that there was one car below him that wasn't going to move. That was a 26 who eventually went upside down. But yeah, him and the 19 just, man, that's so unfortunate. You're like, I'm going to play strategy. And this is how my luck turns out. Like, you play the strategy card, you take the stop early, and then it just, it does not play in your favor. And you see it there, heavy impact, causing the 26 to go over and over. Glad it was only in the virtual world, because that's a scary wreck.
Yeah, that was a scary wreck. What an interesting way that wreck happened here. And we're looking at the 26 from the front straightaway. You see the 53 hard impact to the wall. Shout out to iRacing for these great physics there. And you see up and over, gets caught by the 19, barrel rolling through 1 and 2, gets hit by another car around the deck lid left rear quarter panel area. And he went right to pit road. He held in that button. And you best bet your bottom dollar, he went right to pit road and hit the tow repair button.
So really curious to see what kind of damage that has in store for him to repair. There's got to be a meatball in there for the 26 minimally. But that does bring us to the stage yellow. So 5 cautions, 4 from Rex, and then this one, the wreck just naturally brought out the stage yellow. We're going to go back to picture-in-picture mode for another commercial break. We'll be back with you guys right before the drop of the green flag. And back to full screen mode here, waiting for the beginning of stage 2 for the 6th time. The green flag will fly. The new leader, the 33, Sherwood Williford, is going to lead Nicholas Moreau to the green flag this time. First lead change of the night going to the 33 here, as he's going to lead the 7 and quite a few others down there. But this time, 15. Excellent start. You're going to keep this lead pack side by side for 3 consecutive rows before we get back to a couple car single file. Much racier restart here.
Yeah, 3 wide though for second right now. You see the 7 of Wayne Grossi dives it down to the bottom of the racetrack. He almost makes contact with the 33 of Williford there. There's still 3 wide. Interesting to see though, Nicholas Moreau. He's the 31's around. Big crash.
Jeff Chandler, the 31, just gets loose off the dogleg, and this is actually, that's what brought out the caution to end stage 1. Someone got loose, the 53, got loose in the dogleg. This time it looked like Jeff Chandler hit the apron transition just enough to kick the car sideways and took collateral with, it looks like, which car was that, the 42? That would have been the 42 there of Kyle Milliken, who was in 6th right behind him. And I think I saw a second car spin out. Looks like it was the 24, Stephen Llewellyn.
Yeah, right there. I was just looking at the replay here from the onboard of the 31. He just clipped that apron, and that thing just shot around. And not only did we just have one big wreck, we're having a whole nother big wreck. And right here, you're going to see another car slam right into him. That's the number 42. That's unfortunate for him. That's Kyle Milliken right there. You see the 57, the 24 involved. Unfortunate circumstances. All these guys. This reminds me of Talladega so far. Yeah, we've had Skid Mark X right now in the chat saying, "Holy man, there must be a lot of oil on the track." Well, I tell you what, this is not the Professional Bowling Association. Yeah, they do not have this track oiled up, but it's been interesting so far. We've seen a lot of guys, Jeremy, get really loose there in the dogleg, whether it be the seam or just clipping that apron in the wrong way.
Yeah, you just saw there too. I didn't catch the back half of that. I saw the 24 of Stephen Llewellyn get sideways basically the same way the 53 did. And you saw the pileup afterwards. He hit the 57, and then you saw the 4 Chad Lane get loose, and then the 10 collected. And then the 47 of Hedrick as well, sliding right in front of the 37 of Brian Dublé. That was scary close. Let's see if we can get a roof cam on the 37. We're making our producer Dustin work some overtime here. You see the
Doing a
24
great
already getting
job.
loose. There has to be oil. There's that's 3 cars getting loose there in the dog leg within a matter of what 2 or 3 green flag laps. So something's going array here with these tires in this track setup combination. You see Hedrick trying to avoid the 4 Chad Lang. He does so great, but then he overcorrects himself, and now he's pointed to the wrong direction up into the outside wall right in front of traffic here.
Yeah, I just can't believe so far we've had this many wrecks. And it's not like we're seeing guys like I talked about, Jeremy, in the pre-race show where I was like, oh, you're going to see a lot of guys getting loose off too and hitting the wall. We've only seen about 1 to 2 instances where you've seen that. And it's pretty common with the way that those incidents happen. You saw one guy tank slap the wall off the corner, caused a wreck. You saw another one get into the left rear, caused a wreck. I have never, in my time broadcasting and even just watching events on iRacing here at Phoenix, I've never seen this many cars get involved in 2 big wrecks, all down the front straightaway, all because of the apron and the dog leg. It's just, it baffles me. I can't believe that we've had this happen so far tonight.
It's always treacherous coming back up if you cut the dog leg, but I've not just seen people just get loose all by themselves consecutively in the past 5 green flag laps or less even. That took out, what, 5 or 6 cars there with damage. So pit road is a busy place once again, getting all the repairs done here. And yeah, Doyle, looks like he just got loose. It's so awkward. I've done lots of races here, a lot of races here, and I have not seen the looseness off the dog leg. So what do we see, Jason? Do we see a lot of these guys then cut the dog leg to avoid getting loose on the hiked part of the track there to try to avoid their car getting loose? Is that what we're going to see?
I mean, it's either risk yourself wrecking by getting up and being really fast up above on the racing groove in the dog leg, or it's going below the dog leg and possibly risking your tire, your tires. And it's interesting to see. But shout out to Richie Coy. He's already after that wreck. He's already back up into the top 10 almost right now. He's currently shown in 11th place. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get back to the front and challenge Nicholas Moreau for this race lead. We're getting ready to go green.
Look who's on the outside in second place. That 5 car for Red Moreau started 30th. He too gonna fight his brother for the race leader here as they come off into turn 1. Right now the 5 did not get the start as he wanted, as Nicholas Moreau, I should now use his first name because Moreau brothers 1-2. Nicholas with an awesome start once again is gonna clear him about 2 car lengths. Yeah, Richie Coy, let's see what that damage looks like early on. It looks like his car is going to be able to sustain. Brian Bliss was in the top 10 here. We saw a couple other guys. James Wallace started 5th. He started 31st. So huge move here by the 67 camp to continue to progress forward. But right now, the dogleg looks clean for the first couple laps on this restart.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, Jeremy, look out right now because Fred and Nicholas, they might be going out of here in a couple laps. Because Fred was really close to his brother Nick there going into turn 1, and we've seen that 5 car charge through the field here tonight, whether it be instances where he's just really fast. You know, you saw him earlier, he was wearing out those tires, struggling at one point to pass drivers. He was in the 17th spot, and right now he finds himself second right behind his brother, plus 28 from where he started tonight. So look no further, but we could have somebody challenge for the lead against Nicholas Moreau, and it could very well be his own brothers. You see the 23 and the 91 battle into turns 3 and 4 here off turn 4.
As you're observing that awesome race there, we temporarily saw a 3 wide a little further back with Tony Solari getting loose off of turn 2. Had to go 3 wide momentarily. He lost a couple spots during that transaction as he's trying to find some speed now on the upper half of the track, running 2/3 up turns 1 and 2. Trying to find some speed there, maybe trying to tighten that car up a little bit. He just can't stick the bottom at the moment. He currently resides in 17th place. Moving back up to 7th place, that battle for Justin Deltz and the 37 of Brian Dublé. Both these guys have moved up from their initial starting spots about 74 laps ago. These guys are continuing to progress. That 37 is trying to count his blessings here. Is that last wreck? I notated he was so close to getting involved. Probably just 6 inches or less between the bumper of him and whoever was spinning. I think it was a 10 that was right in front of him. They did the way he's now currently residing in 10th. But James Wallace, 67 as well. Trying to make a pass here on Wayne Grossi. This will be for 4th place.
Yeah, we're going to have to see here if he can get the job done. Oh my goodness, almost got up into Grossi right there in the center of 1 and 2, and Grossi's going to be able to clear James Wallace there. But yeah, Jeremy, what a great showing here tonight for Wallace and that number 67. He looks to be a contender. I wouldn't doubt if we were to possibly get a late race yellow, if the 67 somewhere is going to be in that first to second row, he is more than likely going to be one here to reckon with. But I've circled 4 drivers pretty much on my list so far who I know are going to be contenders. We're reaching halfway. We're on lap 76 of 200 right now. Nicholas and Fred, both the Moreau brothers, along with James Wallace and Richie Coy. He's already back up to 7th after starting 11th on that last restart. So he is coming his way through the field. He's coming in a hurry, so he might have a few yellows to help out, try to get back to the front, or play some strategy, but also he's going to have some people have more tire wear than him in front of him, though.
And he's running the same lap times as he was earlier on in this race, so that tells me the damage he sustained there right before stage 2, he's good. I think his speed's on par. So, if he gets another caution, gets sucked back up, try to compete for inside the top 5, he needs that clear air on his nose. So that car can run 2nd place and does so very well. He just needs to pass these guys, as right now he's got his eyes set on his teammate, the 23 of Brody Hannum. If he gets to him, that'll be putting him in 6th place.
Yeah, everybody's just going single file right now. Hopefully we can get another good green flag run, but only time will tell. As you see the 67, though, James Wallace, he's still right on the back bumper of Wayne Grossi right now. Still hunting him down, trying to get into the top 4 as you ride on board with Wayne from Deltona, Florida, off turn number 2. He arced it a little bit better, and you see the 67 just trying to maintain that gap. He's really good in the center of the corners, I noticed. You see right here, very aggressive on entry. That time around, though, not that much, but the 7's going to get a little tight. This is going to open up the door for the 67. Not going to use the dog leg as much, but he should have the advantage here going into turns 1 and 2. We'll have to see what the 67 does as he beats on the back bumper almost of the 7 of Wayne Grossi.
What I've noticed here from James Wallace, let's see if he does it again through 3 and 4. He attacks hard, which you said, but he gives up the center, and then somehow still carries the speed on exit. He attacked aggressive, he gives it up a little bit. This time he's unable to sustain, but that last time through 3 and 4, I don't know how he's able to control the center a little slower than still be able to launch off the exit on these sweeping corners. He got really close to the back bumper once again of Wayne Grossi. Just putting the pressure on. He's not trying to go outside of his lane. He just says, hey, I'm here. Just going to go to the inside this time. He's going to try to make that spot happen for himself and does so really quickly there. Made quick work of the 7. It's going to move him up to 4th place. Going to the chats once again. I got Sue Martin in the chats on Facebook saying, just thought I'd stop in to say hello. Well, welcome, Sue, to the chats. I think it's the first time I've seen you. Hit us up on the chat, so if you want to continue to watch and show support, feel free to do so. And then, Doyle, it is a bummer to see Chandler with his new skin debuted tonight. Not a good showing. He's going to have to rock it next week to kind of make up for what did not go well for him this evening. These guys have really spaced out here, Mr. Jason. The top 10 especially, really spaced out. Other than 1st and 2nd place, I think Fred's just biding his time. I don't think he has any reason to attack early on his teammate right now. His teammates 1 and 2 for Moreau Motorsports. You can't ask for much better considering after one of the Vachon brothers just getting destroyed on that caution right before stage end. So we'll see what the 5 can do here as they're coming closer and closer to the halfway point. And as we do so, I'd love to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. This time, Martin Sports, home of the sim gloves of all of sim racing. They got the small company, but with a big-time product to make the most breathable and durable gloves in the sim racing world has ever seen. specializes in fully customized sublimation printing on everything from team uniforms to shirts, hoodies that allow for zero restriction on colors, which allows for the absolute fastest turnaround in the business. Check out their full apparel lineup at smartandsports906.com. Use that promo code SUPERNERD. It's going to get you 25% off anything you pick up from Martin Sports. And embroidery as well. I got to mention that. That's one of the new things that Martin Sports is bringing to the table. Once that thing, get that thing set up and, up on the shop, put them on your bookmarks. martinsports906.com. It's well worth your time if you're in the sim racing world and want to show support to a local business that does so much for the sim racing world.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Scott does a lot for the sim racing world, especially not only with just the regular sim world, but also eNASCAR and stuff like that. Scott's a really, really good dude, so y'all should definitely check him out. One of the best in the business. If you need anything for sim wise, he has got it.
Going back to the action here, the 5-car Fred Moreau not giving up anything on the 15. It looks like the 33 of Sherwood Williford is kind of closed in a little bit. I've not seen the long run from anyone really so far, other than what the 15 and the 19 were able to display early on. But as the battle box is up on the top left-hand side there, you see the time difference. Moreau and Moreau, you just got to know which one's which at this point. Williford, though, right at a half a second at 0.5. He was able to get into the fours there, entering turn 3, coming off the corner. He's going to lose a 10th. So keep your eye out on that. I think that 33 might have something for these guys.
Yeah, it's possible. He's been running. I've been watching him, Jeremy, the last few laps. He's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. That time by, though, out of those top 4 drivers who we've really been keeping an eye on, James Wallace, 28.40, was about 700ths faster than Nicholas up at the front of the field. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to close that gap. And as he's only a second and about 3/4 back, so he's closing in slowly. But right now, it's a pretty tight race between the Moreau brothers up at the front of the field. But Sherwood Williford, he's looking to pounce. He's closing the gap. Jeremy, he's only back by about 2 car lengths off, too.
He will get there, just a matter of what time and at what expense, as we're on our longest stint green flag of the event so far, as we're coming up to lap 91 this time. Stu back in the chat with kind of a biased opinion, saying he is amazing, but we also can occur, Sue, so you're not wrong for sure. That 5 is all over the back bumper, the 15 here, Nicholas Moreau. I think it's a matter of time before we get our third lead change here, but does it come from the 5 or does it come from the 33? That's the question right now.
Yeah, that is the question, though, for sure, Jeremy. You've seen the 5. He's been beating on his brother's back bumper almost. As you see right there, the 3 and 4 almost got into him. He's going to have to possibly use the dogleg right here, and they both will. Heck, all 3 drivers use the dogleg right there down into turns 1 and 2 now. And you see the 15 dives it off a little bit better. This is where the 5 has been able to close up off the corners. You see right there, they're pretty even, though, off the corners. I really do think, though, that this 33 has something for these 2 Moreau brothers, though, up at the front of the field. And out of all the Moreau brothers right now, well, just the both of them, I right now think that Fred, though, has the faster car. He's just being very, very patient with his brother. But here comes Williford all the way down to the bottom, trying to make a move there on the 5 of Fred Moreau. And he's right on his back bumper, tailgate, whatever you want to call it, there into turn number 2.
Nicholas Moreau, for the first time in almost 100 laps, has pressure behind him. And I think he's starting to miss his marks a little bit, as he is definitely mirror driving. He has to kind of block the lane, especially the dog leg. You can't have someone undercut you there. Also, I'm looking at the 67 of James Wallace. These past 2 laps, he's getting a half a second on these guys, going from 2 seconds back to 1.43, so a little over a half a second this time. And I mentioned it earlier, this guy loves the long run. He's shown the short run speed. He got up through the field early, and now he's got clean air, and he is on his way of catching these guys. This is going to be a 4-car battle here in the next few laps.
I'll tell you what, too, Jeremy, if they get all together and they make it like a Final Four type scenario and they're all battling, don't forget about Wayne Grossi, because right now he's only back by about 2 seconds. He's been running similar lap times, if not better lap times, than some of those guys up in those the big four, if what we're gonna call it right now for the time being. We have a caution though on the racetrack, and we're gonna have to check out what happened here. So forget everything I said. That's going right out the window. We're gonna have to see here 27. Wow, loose on the apron, hard up into the wall.
It's Ryan Chapman currently 8 laps down. That's going to bring up the 7th caution of the night, presented by Roasted Jim's Coffee, and just hit the apron transition and instantly kicked the car loose. You see him right there hit the line and then whoop, right around real quick. So just these next gen cars are so sensitive to the banking transitions. It's really tough to make it happen. That's super unfortunate. We were preparing right there for a really good 4-car race for the lead. But these guys are going to come down to pit road. They're going to get their stuff repaired. We're going to kick it over to another picture-in-picture commercial break. Be back with you guys right before the drop of the green flag. And welcome back to full screen coverage here. We got just 1 lap left before we go back to green flag action for the 8th time that green flag will fly this evening. Back to the first place, Nicholas Moreau. Second place to his outside Fred Moreau. Moreau Motorsports and Brothers are going to start this race again, P1 and P2. But second row, new set of drivers. Third place now, James Wallace. That's crazy how second and third place also started 30th and 31st. So they have completely flipped this field upside down. Wayne Grossi going to be starting in 4th. Sherwood Williford back to 5th after that commercial or that caution there. So let's see if he can get back up in that 19. You see him there, Richie Coy, back up to almost the top 5. Let's see what they can do. As the green flag is officially out for the 8th time. Not 15. Nicholas Moreau with an excellent start. It's like a mirrored image every single start. He knows exactly when to press the pedal. He goes down the same exact angle cut down below the dog leg. He clears himself always by a car length or 2, even if it's on his own teammate. These guys go single file for the first 4 or 5 cars here. Richie Coy finding himself now in the top 5.
Yeah, Richie Coy's been doing a great job at trying to maintain himself. Get back to the front of that field. As you see side by side right now, Sherwood Williford, Josh Mayu, they're going to go 2 wide, now 3 wide, with another driver all the way top to bottom. And that's the number 23 of Brody Hanna. They're all going to try to just fizzle out, go single file, maybe 2 wide. But right now, so far, so good. Everybody kind of getting away without any issue here in this restart.
And while these guys are still bundled up, we're going to go to our segment we've brought back this season. Turn up the tunes. We're going to bring an amplified sound of all these next-gen cars to you from Phoenix. Let you listen in. We'll be right back. The beautiful sounds of these next-gen cars going around the simulated Phoenix Raceway here from Turn Up the Tunes, and it looks like our broadcast curse did not cause anything there, so all clear on the track. You're seeing action here for third place as Wayne Grossi and the 6-7 temporarily go side by side. 6-7 could not hold it off. That's going to allow the 19 of Richie Coy to try to put himself in fourth place.
Yeah, Richie's been doing a great job trying to get himself back in the top 5, which now he has. And he's looking for 4th place on James Wallace. Ducks back in line. But look at Sherwood Williford. He's right there, been running faster lap times than all these guys. And Josh Mayu right behind them in the number 02 machine. He just ran a 27.88, almost a 10th slower that time around compared to Sherwood. He's been really fast. But so far right now, that looks to be the battle on the racetrack. And Wayne Grossi right now, he's kind of just holding up Wallace, Coy, and Williford, I might say here, Jeremy. So it's going to be interesting to see what Wallace is going to do to try to get around the 7 as he looks to the outside, maybe trying to put a bumper on him here off 2 or off 4.
Wallace will not go to the top. He's going to do what he did last time. He's going to patiently wait until that inside lane opens up, whether the 6-7 gets to. And as he was just listening into me, he said, oh, yeah, watch this. I'm going to run that middle groove. Comes off a turn 2 and almost opened the door too wide for Richie Coy, but the 67 unable to get the launch off the center of the corner as he left about a car length space between him and the 7. Says have to reel him back in here. I think he has to play that patience game. He needs to get a great launch off exit, go to the bottom, pass him there. But at the same time, he's got to be patient. He knows he's faster than these Moreau cars on this long run. We talked about it when we were during the last sound segment there. Brad seemed to get a little loose on that super long run, and Nicholas Moreau is just getting really slow overall. So we know these guys can get to him, but they're also trying to advance their positions and not get passed at the same time. As Sherwood Williford just passed Richie Coy, so the 33 is already starting to show his mid to long run effectiveness around Phoenix here. And going to the chats as well, Holly Andrews saying, go Moreau, good job. As well, either one you're rooting for, Holly, they're doing good.
Yeah, you're seeing the 67 right now. He's just trying everything he can, Jeremy, to get around that 7. Right here, though, off turn 4, he had a really good run, but good job to Wayne Grossi to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. But now, it opened door, big block by him, though, going through turns 1 and 2. And here comes the 33 of Sherwood Williford right now, trying to get to the outside, get the run off the corner. Not enough, obviously. But, man, if I were James Wallace, I'd be really frustrated inside that virtual number 67 Camaro right now, because that 7 is just kind of a roadblock for him right now. I mean, you got to think to yourself at some point, Jeremy, when do you really try to put the bumper down? When do you show a little bit more aggression? Because if I were the 67, I would have done it pretty much by now. But he's been very, very patient with the number 7 of Wayne.
I'm sure if he had that thought cross his mind, he probably instantly brings up, well, we've had 8 cautions, or 7 cautions, rather. We've had 7 of these things, and it's all by cars getting loose or bumping into each other. So I don't know if you do that card. I don't know, being just over halfway. We're on lap 117, so we still have a long way to go. But looking at these lap times, they're also starting to mimic first and second place just because those cars are slowing down. But yeah, that 7, and no question, as being a roadblock, these guys are stacked up right behind them. It's just the 7's in the right place to block the lane. He's not cutting them off per se. He's just there. 67 gets a great launch off at turn 4 that time. He just cannot get through the dog leg and accept the path there on the bottom. It's so tough here. You really want to move, but you can't. You want to move the guy, but you know these cars are easy to wreck each other. All over the back bumper entering turn 3 here.
Yeah, you just got to be patient, and that's the thing. Like, as much as if I were James Wallace, I would have given him the 7 the bumper a lot longer ago. And you see right here, he's got that run. This could be the opportunity for not only James Wallace, but Sherwood Williford to try to get around that 7, because these Moreau brothers, they've shot away from this field. They're in a zip code of their own by 2.5 seconds as you ride here on board with the number 7 of Grossi from Deltona, Florida. Down the back into 3 and 4. The 67's going to get by, but will he be clear? 33 sliding up big time into the 7. Almost contact there off turn 4. Man, this has been a heck of a battle between these 3 to 4 drivers all night long, especially right now.
This is great news for these guys. They're finally freed up here. The 33 shoved them up a little bit, as you mentioned, and then cut the dog leg and was able to complete the pass through 1 and 2. So the 67 of Wallace, the 33 of Williford, does make the pass complete around the 7 car. That's going to drop back. Wayne Grossi into 5th place here is now Richie Coy trying to get himself back into the top 5. I'm going to be watching the lap times now, Jason, of the 33 and the 67. I'm going to see what their position is in comparison to the leaders as this long run is kicking in. I think these guys are going to have a shot here to get to him as long as it stays green.
Yeah, we're going to have to see here as these next couple laps develop and what the lap times look like on the boards, but right now it's all been Nicholas Moreau at the front of the field. You see his brother Fred right behind him. They're pretty even still, though, only separated by about 0.05 of a second. So they're still kind of even. It's going to be interesting to see if Fred falls off the pace a little bit, because we did see, and we were talking about it too earlier when we were doing the listening to the next gen cars here at Phoenix, and we were talking about how the 5 right there on the tail end of that green flag stint, how he was kind of falling off the pace just a little bit. That last time by, though, he was faster by about 400. So going to be interesting to see if Fred is able to overcome what happened to him during that last green flag stint. But right now, don't count your chickens too yet if I were the fans watching this at home for those Moreau brothers, because James Wallace has been running faster lap times. Sherwood Williford has been running similar lap times. I look for those two drivers to get towards the front, but they might have to play strategy if they want to get in front of the Moreau brothers.
This is about like the main part of the race here. There's a couple of battles going around the track. 23 Brody Hanna getting clear of the 47 of Ryan Hendrick here. That's for 11th and 12th. Right behind them, we see the 37 Dublé and Kyle Milliken in the 42. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. That's Brian Dublé in a lap car. I apologize there. These guys are starting to get a little racy here mid-pack, but if you look around, there's really not much going on. They're all really spaced out, which is great. This is now what we needed to see the long run. Will the strategies start to take an effect? James Wallace has already gained 2 or 3 tenths in the past couple laps, so we're starting to see that 67 move back up into what I think is going to be a good setup here right before the pit stops. I don't know what the field window looks like. I really don't. We have not seen the long run happen here. This is the longest green flag run we've had this evening. We could see them with one more potential stop. Maybe they pit somewhere around lap 150. Come in and be good to go as long as the caution stays away. But another 10th gain there by James Wallace that lap, Jason. So that's where my eyes are going to be set here.
Yeah, he's coming for sure, Jeremy. But it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, depending on strategy. You just talked about it. We're not really too sure what the pit window looks like. But everybody right now back onto looking on the scoring monitor, back to about 17th. That is Timothy Stubblefield in that number 12. He last pit on lap 97. Everybody else, lap 96. Robert Melikian, though, right now, he looks like, I believe he might have just pitted, if I'm not too sure. But everybody, here comes a 7, though. I believe Wayne Grasse, he might have just pit. Not too sure. No, he did not. The timing scoring is just going all over the place right now. But, yeah, lap 96 is the last time these guys pitted, so I do expect these drivers to try to pit here within the last 50 laps. And if you're James Wallace or Sherwood Williford, try to pit around the same time that the 5 and the 15 do, because you know they're going to probably pit together, because they're two of the fastest cars out here. They've been the show all race long. But maybe if you're Troy Torgerson or Chad Lang, maybe try to undercut, shoot for where you could pit earlier. Try to get the jump on those guys, because fresh tires do mean everything here, and you've seen fall off of about 2 seconds, so it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is.
Yeah, we're seeing it here. James Wallace has gained another half a second on these guys, almost 2 seconds. I was watching the 15 and Nicholas Moreau. He's getting really looser off the corner exit 2. The 5 of Fred Moreau just kind of pushing up a little bit on quarter entry that last time through turn 3. So we're only, you mentioned lap 95, 96. We're only 35 laps into a green flag run here. And we're seeing some massive tire wear fall off. So these guys, if they pit or go another 20 laps before they make their pit stop, that last 50 laps of the race, you really have to take care of yourself early on, or you're going to see yourself maybe drop back potentially. So, I don't know. This is our longest run, as I said earlier, and we're starting to see the side effects of it.
Yeah, for sure. You want to just keep your tires on it. Like I talked about the last time when we had a long green flag run, Fred Moreau, he was very fast, caught up to his brother, couldn't get around him. As you see right there, perfect example there off 2. You saw him get very loose. You could see that Fred is really getting after it. He's wheeling this thing, man. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty part of the race. Green flag stops could be coming. Hopefully, knock on wood, commentator's curse is a thing, believe it or not, folks. Done it plenty of times. But if we do get a green flag run, he knows he's fast. He can get to his brother, but he's just got to learn to try to maintain his tire wear a little bit. See, one car way up in the wall there. Oh my goodness, that could have been a catastrophe for the number 5 of Fred Moreau. That's the number 98 there of Chris Curtis. He is really high up right now and very off the pace. Wow, that was very close for not only Nicholas Moreau, but also his brother Fred right there. That could have been big, Jeremy.
Yeah, Chris Curtis, multiple laps down right now, just kind of get to the end. He's currently 11 laps back as we speak. And yeah, right in front of Fred Moreau. That's not what you want to see trying to track down the leader, is someone wrecking right in front of you, because you instantly have that hesitation of, is he going to go low? Is he going to stick to the outside wall? I don't know what he's going to do. Some hesitation there. He cost him a couple tenths on the 15. James Wallace, I'm going to keep referencing this guy because he is continuing to climb. He's now 1.6 back of your race leader and only 1 second back of Fred Moreau, which about 3 or 4 laps ago, he was 2 seconds back. This guy's on a mission. He will get here. Will he get here before the pit stops? That is the question, because I have no idea when these guys are deciding when to come down, because that long run strategy, these guys don't know what it looks like right now.
Yeah, they really don't know what it looks like right now, but those guys have been really fast there in 3rd and 4th. They are catching the Moreau brothers. Only that time by a round. They were better than them by a tenth. So they can catch them on these long runs. But the question is when they pit, will they close the gap enough to try to make the run and beat the Moreau brothers? Because we've seen on these green flag starts initially, on the restarts, the Moreau brothers, they don't just go and restart and have the field behind them. Man, and I'm telling you, they go. They must got Honey Boo Boo Go-Go juice with Red Bull mixed with Mountain Dew in their system right now, because they are lights out on these restarts. And if we do get a late race restart, everybody does pit. I expect the Moreau brothers to really be the only two who will contend for this race. But the long run is the question, Jeremy. James Wallace and Sherwood Williford, will they get to him before the green flag stops happen? They might, because Sherwood Williford is closing in on the both of them right now as they head into 1.
That's a great segue into one of our partners here. Speaking of Go-Go Juice, we're going to give a shout-out. We've seen them multiple times now throughout the cautions, but, you know, I'd love to advertise their product a little bit. Roasted Gems Coffee. Premium quality, ethically produced coffee gems from different parts of the world, coupled with delicious blends and flavors that'll make your taste buds melt with delight. Roasted Gems Coffee is the only place to quench your caffeinated coffee desires. They value your coffee experience with each order. Roasted to perfection, ordered and shipped straight to your door for peak flavor. Whether if you want that mellow flavor with just a hint of caffeine to get the day started, or it's so strong it'll show up on a drug test, Roasted Gems Coffee has you covered. And that's going to be at roastedgems.com. And you see that green code there at the top, promo code SuperNerds. It's going to save you 10% off anything you buy from roastedgems.com. And going back to the action, James Wallace, under 1.5 now back, just under a second of Fred Moreau as he's trying to pass the 14, a lap down car there. He's kind of fallen off his pace a little bit the past 3 or 4 laps. He's kind of mellowed out, been pretty stationary. So is Sherwood Williford in the 33. That little battle they had behind the 7 kind of really ate up their stuff, and they're going to be waiting. I think if I were the 67 or 33, I might want to shortcut pit maybe between now and lap 50 and just hope that your car can stick it. They know they got the long run car. They can give up a few laps and make the gain there. But I think that's my strategy call.
Yeah, the question, though, is if they do try to hit the undercut here, Jeremy, they know they're really fast initially when they do get those fresh tires on. But because they pit so early, if you were the Moreau brothers, they're not that good on the long runs. We've seen, too, James Wallace and Sherwood Williford, they've been gaining on them. And James Wallace is right there as they're passing lap cars. I mean, he's only 7/10 of a second back from Nicholas. And he's in just a few laps, I guarantee you, he's going to be beating on the back bumper of Fred. I tell you what, though, these guys really do need a lot of Roasted Gems coffee here probably by the end of this, because they're going to be tired. They're working the wheels from their virtual sim racing rigs. I mean, just all stellar job. The first half of this race, we saw a lot of wrecks, and so far, it's been really good long green flag runs. We had one previously before a yellow. Now we have this one, and it's getting into the nitty-gritty part of the race. We're coming up, approaching lap 150, and I do agree, Jeremy. I think that's when you're going to start seeing guys maybe like Brody Hanna, Brian Dublé, Kyle Milliken. You might see drivers like them try to undercut because everybody last pitted on lap 96. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of guys undercut, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of guys stay out, maybe like Justin Diltz, Alan Crowell. They could be the guys who throw a curveball into this event and try to stay out as long as possible.
Yeah, this has been a really good, tough test here for your mental state. You had a lot of cautions. People get frustrated when they can't do anything because they're just running underneath pace laps. As 6-7 gets a little...
Back straightaway. One car up into the wall. Don't know if it's going to be a yellow.
No caution just yet. I think we're going to stay green here. But as I was saying there, like the mental state, like you finally get this long green flag run. After countless cautions, you just mentally let's go. And now you might be to the part where, man, now we could use the cautions. Like, I want to get myself reset up, get back to where I need to. But that 67, James Wallace, he's there now. He is under a second of your race lead. He is only a half a second on Fred Moreau. 5 laps till we hit that lap 150 mark. We see in pit road, it looks like, is that the 3 there of Brian Bliss? It sure is. He's your first lead lap car coming off of 13th place to make his pit stop, presumably his last green flag stop of the night. So he's coming to the service car, or to his team rather. So green flag stops starting to happen.
Yeah, now that opens the door for everybody. Brian Bliss, first one to really take it. Now you're going to see who else is going to come into the pit. It's only a matter of time before you see some drivers coming, and here we go, maybe. No, I thought the 15 looked like he was going to pit there, but wow, his brother Fred has really gained up to him here these last few laps. Got to think to yourself, Jeremy, maybe the 15's car is starting to get away from him. This could be the opportunity that Fred needs to get around his brother, because we've seen it countless times. You might be able to pass one car on the racetrack and then have to pit, and it makes all the difference, baby, because it could come down to just one pass 70 laps prior to the finish of a race.
We've only seen one taker, if not 2. Pit road's still wide open after that. And you can see on the same camera pane, now the top 3 are in the same picture. 15, Nicholas Moreau has lost that gap over his brother Fred as they are nose to tail. James Wallace is basically there. Sherwood Williford's kind of staled out. He's still 3.3 back. Same amount of space he had 20 laps prior. So he definitely needs a caution of some kind to get himself back into the pictures. It looks like it's going to be a 3-car race from this point forward. This is going to get good. This was right before that caution happened the last time, where we thought the 4 was going to produce an excellent race for us. And once again, we're starting to see a 3-car battle develop here. This is excellent TV coverage here to watch these guys duke it out for the final 50 laps.
Oh, yeah, it's been a really great race. Like we said earlier, Wreckfest in the beginning part of the race. These guys finally, had a little bit of Roasted Gems coffee possibly, and they were just, lights out. Everybody's been really good so far here tonight. As for the second half of this race, and really so far, it's all been the Moreau brothers at the front. Fred starting in the back like usual. You said beforehand, Jeremy, he doesn't like to qualify. Him and James Wallace been really creeping up on these Moreau brothers, ready to crash the family party here, per se. And Sherwood Williford been good. Josh Mayu, he's been really strong here tonight. And James Wallace actually just came into the pits.
Yep, your first big-time driver here. 3rd place, giving it up. He's going to do the undercut as you described. Going to come to the service of his crew, and he definitely missed his stall by just a few inches. He had to put it in reverse, so hopefully that doesn't play a huge factor here. The 47, Ryan Hedrick, also down pit road. 37 of Brian Dublé, also come to the service of his crew. I think I saw one other car come down as well. Actually, Brian Bliss in that 3-car, he came down 13th. We talked about him 5 laps prior. He's still sitting in his pit stall, so I'm not sure what's going on with the 3-car. Major issues here, as he did give up that in the lead lap anyways. But it looks like 3 or 4 cars from the lead lap did come down this time by, so the door is definitely wide open. You see a couple more drivers come down. Now, if you're the 15-5, what do you do?
I believe the 15 might have just came in this time by. Could be wrong. No, just the ticker going off usually. That's the thing about these Apex Racing TV time tickers behind the scenes, folks. They're always going off. Everybody's pitting, and everything gets really discombobulated during these green flag runs. But yeah, I mean, if I were the 15 and the 5, you got to pit sometime soon. But they've been really good on fresh tires like we talked about earlier, Jeremy, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stay out longer. The only thing that's negative about doing that is they are losing track time. So maybe if I were them, maybe you do pick, because everybody's really starting to come in. Kyle Milliken just pitted, Josh Mayhew, Troy Turgeson, Chad Lang. They're all in pit road now. If I were these leaders, you got to pit soon, and you got to pit probably now, because Sherwood Williford and James Wallace, they're going to be coming in a hurry for sure, because they've been really fast on the long runs, and they're going to have fresh tires. So they're going to cut that gap that they had to those two leaders really, really largely. So it's going to be interesting to see. But if I were those two, you got to pit right now. It's either now or never, in my opinion.
I think the 6-7 of Wallace has the best case scenario. He's definitely got the long run car. He gained up 3 seconds up to these guys, almost to their back bumpers, and then he came down pit road. He's got the long run car, right? Now he's shortcutted pit. So now he's got the short run speed. He's about 1.5 seconds faster per lap. These guys stay out, right? So he's got that going for you. But then when the long run does kick in about, lap 180, 190, James Wallace is probably going to be equal to the 15 and the 5. So he's going to get the short run here. He's going to be able to sustain the long run. And he's gonna be in the lead. There's no question. As long as the 15 coming off the dogleg, almost wrecking himself there. Don't want to see that happen as your race leader. Shows you how loose that race car is. But the 6-7, I think he's sitting right now in the best case scenario for him. If he can keep the cautions away, I think that 6-7. He's actually coming up to these guys. He's only about 10 or 15 car lengths behind them right now.
He just ran the fastest lap of the race too. He just ran the fastest lap of the race too, Jeremy. That was a 27.24 last time around. I mean, listen, I just said it beforehand. If you're Nicholas Moreau, you pit right now, because you saw how loose you were coming into the dogleg. And look at the 67 now. Realistically, these guys, they might be coming in. No, it's just the 67. You look at the amount of ground that the 67 makes up in the corners. The 15 and the 5, they're going to be good on fresh tires no matter what. But man, oh man, they are losing so much track time right now by being out. This 67 is going to put these guys way back in the pack because of everybody that just pitted. I believe that the 67 of James Wallace is going to have this lead by a very large margin here right after the green flag cycle's over.
Here they come. Yep, the 15 and the 5 finally make it down right to speed. I think they're both clean on that entry. Very good stop entrance, but these are the final guys to come down. We saw the past few laps. We saw like the 23 and everybody else follow suit down pit road. There was 4 guys on the lead lap. That is Fred, Nicholas Moreau, Wayne Grossi, and the 67 who got his lap back the hard way. Now everybody else is going to be able to cycle through and get their laps back. They're only 1 lap down as the leaders have finally come down. We seen this in the truck race a few weeks ago. At least I did anyways. The race, I think it was at California. The race was lost on pit road due to someone. I think it was Troy Torgerson. He came in late, about 3 laps later than the guy who shortcutted, and just could not get back to him. He was 2 laps shy from doing so. We've seen it lost before. And I think in this case, might be the same way, but we'll figure it out. These guys are smarter than me. That's why they're on the track and I'm not. So we'll see what happens as they've come back onto the racing surface with 41 laps to go.
Yeah, and I mean, they're back by a little bit of time here. We're going to have to see once everything cycles through how big the gap is between them and James Wallace. And Sherwood Williford right now, he's back by 5.5 seconds. And Nicholas Moreau right now showing currently that he's about, I want to say 11 seconds, 13 seconds back. So that just goes to show you what it took for James Wallace to pit early. Sure, he lost all that track position, but because of being on those fresher tires than these guys are in front of him, he was able to close up that gap tremendously because the 15 and the 5 just stayed out. And and now they find themselves over 13 seconds back. Who even knows if they're going to have enough time to try to get back to the front? They might need a yellow because you best bet your bottom dollar they're going to be running hard to try to run down James and Sherwood. So it's going to be interesting to see what the 15 and the 5 have in store for these leaders here with the closing laps remaining.
As we're going to go to a Nerd TV Top 10 recap as all the pit stops have cycled through, starting with the guy on your screen. Now your race leader by a whopping 5.5 seconds. James Wallace, with less than 40 to go, has resumed the lead in a huge fashion. Let's see what James Wallace can do in that Columbia Chevrolet Camaro. Second place, just mentioned him, Sherwood Williford, going to resume in second after doing a little bit of a shortcut pit himself. That 33's got himself set up for an awesome finish here. He's got tons of space around his car. Kicking back to third place, 12.5 seconds back of your race leaders, Josh Mayu. The furthest he's ran up through the field this time. He's about to get passed by the 15 and the 5 as they come up to him real quick. They're going to drop him back to fourth. Speaking of fourth, right now is the 15 for just another short bit. That's Nicholas Moreau. He's got about 10 laps fresher tires or so compared to the 67 and 33 and whatnot. So this guy will be fast. How fast will he be, though, to get back to where he was, which was the race lead? And back in fifth place, Fred Moreau, the 5 car. We got a car slow, at least with an... Oh, he's back onto the surface. That's the 44 Chris Beck. Oh, and he came up and hit the 0-2 of Josh Mayu. Spin, and the caution is out for the 8th time, presented by Roasted Jim's Coffee. And James Wallace is probably shaking his head as multiple cars do pile into this wreck. The 39 of Torgerson, the 14, the 0-2. I think it was only those 3 cars other than 44 of Chris Beck. Slow on the transition, comes up above the yellow line and it just cleans the clock of the 0-2. Huge implications here on this, this race lead.
And they just kept piling in, and man, shout out to Fred Moreau there. He was able to get around those guys. Going to have to see if we could possibly get an onboard with him. Man, he almost got right involved with that. But here's Chris Beck right now. You see him loose. Man, just comes up, honestly. Just needs to be a little bit more aware there. Unfortunately, the 0-2 coming at a much faster pace of speed. You saw the 44 just climb up the racing surface, collected the 0-2, and unfortunately, other people, just bystanders in that one. But here we go. We're riding on board with Fred Moreau. Look at this wreck. He sees it happening. Right now, he's about, having brown in his pants. Wow, what a nice job. Man, if that were me right there, like I just said, my pants would have been brown by the end of this one, because that could have been really close for Fred Moreau. And that could be right there the move of the race if he happens to win. And it could have been a what if I would have gotten wrecked. Just unfortunate for some of these drivers to be taken out like this. And now James Wallace has got to be shaking his head, going, oh, man, these guys just had the best case scenario they could have had. But I don't know, man. James Wallace, he might have something for these Moreau boys. We'll have to see.
The chats, we got Jessica Stubblefield saying these cautions are just unreal. It is very unlike FTSR. Phoenix has not been a good showing. Every other race this season has been amazing, but this first short track of the season not playing favors for a lot of these guys out here in multiple series. And then Nicholas Rodriguez saying, what's up, homeboy? I don't know who we're talking about here, but what's up back to you from wherever you're coming from. And yeah, there is 2 cars, actually 1 car, going to be separating the 67 and the 15 of Moreau. That's going to be the 33 of Williford. I don't know. I talked about how he's going to be mellowed out and burning the same lap times on the long run, but you didn't come into pit for tires because you just did. It's going to be tough. I think if he can hold off the 15 and the 5 short run, maybe put a block or 2, I think he can still get the job done. It's just going to be a lot tougher task for this guy.
Yeah, for sure, Jeremy. It's going to be really tough because he knows those Moreau boys have been very fast. They've been lights out on every restart. They've been so good on those short runs. But hey, look who's 5th right now, man. Richie Coy is back up here inside the top 5, and he is just in the middle between James Wallace and the Moreau brothers with tires. He last pitted on lap 154. The Moreau brothers both pitted on lap 158. I guess when you're family, you got to do stuff together. Sherwood Williford, lap 152, and James Wallace obviously being the bystander right now, last pitting on lap 150. So it's going to be interesting to see how James is going to take this restart. He's not just going to have a good restart. He's going to have the best restart he's had all night. It'll be him alongside Sherwood Williford. Those two might have to try to work together here on this restart to hold off the Moreau brothers, because they're going to be coming to the front really fastly. And Richie Coy, Ryan Hedrick, who we haven't talked about all night, he's running 6th. Great run for him. So, man, oh man, Jeremy, this is going to be one heck of a battle here with these last few remaining laps.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to see. I'm going to keep my eye on the 67. 33, he might be an oddball pitch here to maybe hold up with these guys and contend. As we're about to go back to green flag for the 9th time. We put the end to the 8th caution here. Let's see if we can go green the rest of the way. Green flag is out. The 67 gets a good launch on the older tires. Sometimes you have to worry about the tire spin, but these next-gen cars have a wider tire base. Makes it a little harder to spin the tires, and we're going to go almost 3 wide here early as the 15 gets an excellent start. The 67 just need to get a little heat in those tires. He can't hold the line like he wants to. And
oh my goodness!
15 to 5, Fred Moreau. The 67 to James Walsh, your top 3 fastest guys. Only cars involved in this wreck, and the 15 once again plows in the 67 after everything was done there. Huge. A lot of frustration by the 15 to come back through and nail the 67 post-wreck there, but that was huge. Your top 3 fastest guys potentially done this race.
We're going to have to get another replay before I say anything. But man, oh man, this changes everything. And look at who comes out on top right now on the scoring pylon. It looks like Richie Coy and Fred Moreau currently are at the front. Man, we're going to have to see right now what happens from the 67 car. You see right here from this camera angle. Kind of hard to tell. I believe the 15 could have just came up here. Maybe if we can get a roof cam shot. Going to be interesting to see. Off the corner. Man, it's so tight to see. Honestly, I want to say it's the 15 coming up here, Jeremy, but the 67 was also just coming down a bit. Maybe if we can get maybe a blimp angle or something like that. Man, I'm baffled. I can't believe what we just saw. That was just... Oh, my goodness. I mean, just dominant cars. 2 of the most dominant cars all night. Taken out like that.
So I'm going to have to agree with you. The 67 didn't go up to the outside wall like most other guys have been doing, but the same token, the 15... just you can't see. It's a blind spot for him, right? You're trying to get everything you can within 30 laps almost, and he comes up thinking the 67 is going to be a little higher on corner exit. He's not there. He finds them early before they get to the straight part of the backstretch, hooks the 15, and then the 5 just inadvertently gets involved trying to avoid, and then you see the 15 just, he knows who's in front of him right there. It looks like he throttled up and cleaned the 6-7 for one last hit there, because at the heat of the moment, both guys are like, wow, these guys just wrecked me, right? Like, they don't know. They have to go back and watch the replay, and they'll probably figure it out from there and, have their words and apologize and be good for next week. But yeah, right now in the heat of the moment, you're like, man, we were the 3 dominant cars out here, and this happens to us. That's, man, you hate to see it.
Oh, yeah, you hate to see it for sure. Honestly, if I were the 15, maybe just give him a little bit more room. You were on the fresher tires. 67's also just trying to race, I mean, he's been super fast all night long. I mean, honestly, just a racing deal. I mean, the 15 could have probably given him a little bit more space instead of coming up so quickly, but like I said, it's so hard to tell. No really blame on anybody's fault right there. It's just, you're getting down into it. You're going to have a shot at the win, and unfortunately, just because of racing so hard, you take one another out. But man, 2, not only that, but 3, because not to forget, too, I said earlier that Fred Moreau was up at the front of this field after that wreck, but we saw right there on the replay, he did have damage, so it's going to be interesting to see how bad Fred's damage is, but right now, by the looks of it, he's staying out. I'm not seeing too much damage. I think the right front might be crinkled up a little bit, but right now, Sherwood Williford, Richie Coy, they're in the catbird seat right now to try to get this victory here tonight at Phoenix. We're taking a look. Yeah, you see right there, great shots from our producer, Dustin, by the way, for showing y'all how detailed these Cup cars are. And you do see right there, folks watching at home, that right front right there, that's crinkled in a little bit. So that's going to happen, or not happen, that's going to help him not really have drive off these corners. So, I mean, if you're the 5, you got to suck it up and deal with it, unfortunately. It's time to go. You have what you have, and right now's the time to show it.
I think Richie Coy right now is in the best spot possible after everything is cycled through. I think he's got a little bit faster car, a little bit fresher tire on that 33. The 5 of Moreau has that nose damage. Not sure what the performance is going to look for or look at here as he come back to the green flag here for the 9th time. As we're waiting for the premature Patrick or late Larry, whatever you want to call him. Coming to the green flag here. Sherwood, he's gonna need the power down early. And the 5 of Fred Moreau actually matches his speed. Richie Coy is going to cut the dog leg, not able to get to the inside of the 33. The 4 here of Chad Lang making some great moves, cutting the inside of the apron there a little bit to try to hold his spot. But side-by-side contact again for the 2 race leaders. Still making contact onto the corner exit here. Drag race into turn number 3. And right now it looks like it's still going to be a good battle as they come off onto lap number 175.
Man, and Richie Coy right now, he's sitting in that catbird seat, Jeremy. He's watching these 2 battle from saying, man, I love this. Oh, it's so tight going into 1 and 2. These guys are door handle to door handle off turn number 2. Fred Moreau, though, gets the run off the corner. He's going to clear the 33 off the corner. Nice driving by Fred Moreau to give him enough room, give him that bottom side of the racetrack, not let the 33 wash up. And now Richie Coy right now trying to put some fire underneath Williford right now and try to pass him for the 2nd spot because we know he's fast right now. He's on the back bumper of the 33 into 2.
19 needs to get around the 33, and I think he might be able to get to this 5, but the 5 is still looking pretty impressive considering that right nose damage is not really hindering him. It is a shorter track, so that downforce that he is lacking isn't really a thing here. So he's able to get away with it a little bit more. Surprised these next-gen cars were able to keep intact this time, because that was a pretty heavy impact there from Fred into the 67 as he came back up the track and made that contact down the back straight there. But I want to make a quick mention, too, of the 15, Nicholas Moreau. I mentioned at the top of the race, he was your points leader. He was 3 points advantage over Richie Coy, who's now residing in 3rd. Nicholas Moreau is back 2 laps down in 17th place. So not only did it take away his race hopes of being such a dominant car leading almost every single lap here tonight, it's also going to put him back multiple positions in the standings as well, as we're 4 out of 13 so far in the season A.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, too. That's the thing with these races. You got to be consistent if you want to continue to fight on for these championships, So it's obviously going to be a little bit of a hit for him in the points here tonight, and all he's got to do is just try to rebound. So going to be interesting to see how he takes the next few races here as we're just under 22, now almost 21 laps to go here as they head into 1.
We had Tim Tripler, my usual Wednesday suspect in the chat, saying race cars on Facebook. Yes, they are race cars, Tim. Oh, and a 33 heavy into the outside wall. That's going to allow Richie Coy to get around him. That door opens up for the 19. What can he do now for the 33, or for the 5 rather? The 33 is going to start to fall back because that was such a massive impact there to the outside wall. Going back to the chats once again, Holly Andrews saying Moreau Brothers will get back their place. So sad to see. It was sad to see just because of how fast everybody was in that session right there. But, it's going to play dividends here for the 19 as he's got a great chance to make up every point possible to get himself into the lead coming to the final 8 races in this opening season of 2023. Gurgi on there saying it looks like real life. Well, iRacing produces some of the best graphics we've seen in the sim world and some of the best physics. So yeah, it should look like real life to their standards. These beautiful track reflections off the surface, especially off of turn 2 here. Some of these camera angles I love that sun reflection off these tracks.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the thing about iRacing, depending on, what kind of graphics cards you have, a little bit of PC talk, what you got in your system, you can make this thing either look super real or you can make it look super, video game-like. That's the thing about iRacing. It just makes everything look so good. Love all the shots from our producer, Dustin, tonight. Love that the sun's starting to set a little bit here in the desert in Phoenix, and now you're starting to see that glare off turn number 2 from that back straightaway camera angle. And, everything's getting a little bit slicker, because the sun's just beating down that racetrack. Everybody's, getting slip and slide and stuff like that. But back to the 33 car, just unfortunate for him to get himself up into that wall. He has a lot of right side damage, but still in 3rd, hope's not lost yet. Maybe if you can get a late race yellow, but we'll have to see. Right now, Fred Moreau all up at the front of the field. And yeah, you're taking a look there at the 33's damage, a lot heavier than what Fred Moreau's was from that last caution flag. But so far, Fred Moreau continue to lead by just over a second and a half here with just 17 laps to go in the desert.
Richie Coy just does not have that long run speed. Even though Fred has that damage, it's not affecting him, obviously, as he is growing that lead every single lap. So as long as he keeps that car clean for the next 16 laps, I think the number 5 is going to be bringing this thing to victory lane. Brody Hanna now trying to get to the 33. As you know, as time winds down, I think the 23 is going to get to the 33.
Yeah, we'll just have to find out, depending on how bad, the 33's damage is, because it's just heartbreaking to see the 33 have such a good run here tonight with that number 33 machine. He's been so fast, and, just unfortunately driver error getting a little high off turn number 2, and it's just really unfortunate. That's really all I could say. It's just unfortunate circumstances for Sherwood, but, I mean, there's always next week, I want to say, but, could have been a shoulda, coulda, woulda. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, everything looked like it was going to plan all race long until things happen, right? Just, the mental game. You're 2 hours into this thing. You've been practicing all week, and you got to keep yourself in check, especially into these races. And we've seen some issues happen as we have eight total cautions so far in this race. I think it beats all of season 2022 through A through D. So hopefully they'll regroup and, have a much better showing next week. Try to regain those points, especially Nicholas Moreau, as he's going to lose the points at this moment going into week 5. Fred Moreau continuing to grow that lead. Now, actually, no, he lost it back into the 10th there to Richie Coy. So 1.5 still splits 1 and 2. Brody Hanna a little closer and closer to Sherwood. Wayne Grossi in the 7, who had a little miscue on the green flag pit stop. He's starting to make his spots back up, looking right at the back bumper of the 23 of Brody Hanna, trying to get himself into 4th place.
Yeah, Brody's been doing a really good job tonight, just maintaining, his car, really doing a solid job. As you see Wayne Grossi right now to the inside of him trying to make that pass. He was another driver who was fast, but you saw at one point during a run where he was just kind of like, a rock, and everybody else was, I don't know, something lighter than a rock. And that's the best analogy that I could put it. He was just, holding up the field, and the Moreau brothers were able to just scoot away from everybody else. But nice rebound for Wayne. Unfortunately, I believe he didn't get caught up in anything, but definitely was a little bit, mirrored back in traffic earlier on. So good rebound for him so far, finding himself in the top 4.
Coming up to 10 laps to go. 5, Fred Moreau, almost a 2-second advantage over 2nd place Richie Coy. Going to the chats, it looks like James Wallace is out of the car and in social media already. In our chat messages, saying it is close between Fred and Nick on the fastest in the league. And on a week-to-week average, Mr. Wallace, I would have to say that you are probably correct on that notion. Producer Mayer chiming in saying that's why he calls him Rocket Man Moreau. Hate to see you in the chats before the checker flag flies, man, but hopefully you're in high spirits and continue that momentum that you've had into next week and throughout the whole entire season, because that machine is on fire for the 2023. Fred Moreau still holding 1.7 over Richie Coy. Sherwood Williford keeping that gap. He's still holding 3rd place nicely. Wayne Grossi did get around Brody Hanna, so he resumes now in 4th. And Chad Lang with a pretty good showing here. That 4 car in 6th place, fastest we've seen him all season long. It's good to see Chad up here in the top 5, or top 10 rather.
Yeah, James actually just said again in our chat, he said, Fred drives from the back every race. Haven't seen Nick do that unless he runs into trouble. And yeah, I agree, James. It's actually really impressive to see Fred come from the back and right down the scoring pile on 29 spots gained since the start of this race, and obviously finding himself P1, but unfortunate circumstances here tonight for you. But I really wish could have ended up on a better note for you. Hopefully you'll do really well next week, and that's James Wallace, by the way, for everybody watching and listening from home. So unfortunately taken out in that last caution involved with him and the number 15. But right now, Jeremy, it looks like Fred Moreau is kind of running away with this unless something happens, because Richie Coy and him both very even, but Fred just has that slight advantage over Richie right now as they head into 3 and 4.
Yeah, there has to be a caution or an issue from the 5 car for anything to change here at this point, as we have 6 laps to go. Almost to the end of this thing, a little over 2 hours into this race. Mental fatigue is there. They're just trying to complete this race. 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Getting close to midnight here. As we just had daylight savings time change, so people's sleep cycle's a little bit off. So we're going to try to complete this race, and it's been a hell of a race. Pretty crazy first half, pretty calm second half in comparison. A couple awesome racing situations up in the front, but at the end of the day, the 5, Fred Moreau, one of the deserving drivers to be up front, is continuing to be up front now, 2.5 almost over Richie Coy. Shame we don't see the 15 here, but all in all, Moreau Motorsports looks like it's all basically locked in for the checkered flag.
Yeah, for sure. Fred drove such a great race being behind his brother most of the night, until that instance. And unfortunately, Fred, wanted to probably battle his brother, but right now he's sitting really good right now at the front of this field.
Sherwood Williford and everybody else behind Richie Coy have dropped back. They're 4 seconds away from second place. So really just the 2 cars really spaced out. And there's a couple of battles in the back here. Trying to see the 4 of Chad Lane can get to Brody Hanna. He's got about 2 car length spaces away. Goes down to 1 as the 4 gets a little loose off of turn 4. There's going to give up a tenth or 2 there. Going through the dog leg, entering turn number 1. These guys have 3 laps to go. 4 might have something for the 23 here. Just running a little bit of a faster long run pace in comparison. Everybody else, really not much action other than the 7 and the 33. They're trying to decide who's going to be sitting in the Nerd TV booth here with us for 3rd place. 7's really trying right now. I just don't think there's going to be enough time, as they got a lap and a half together.
Yeah, we'll have to see here once they take the checkered flag. But Fred Moreau, man, on absolute rails, coming to the white flag for the final time here tonight at Phoenix. He's going to take the white flag here tonight. 1 lap to go for Fred Moreau. You got to think, what could it have been with him and his brother battling up at the front, especially with James Wallace. But hey, man, a win's a win. As long as he can get through this back straightaway in turns 3 and 4, he's going to be a winner here tonight at Phoenix.
Fred's going to come through turn 3 for the final time. This lap might not be the winning moment presented by Martin Sports. I think that wreck was it. But all in all, here comes Fred through turn number 4, completing lap 200 as he's going to pick up his first checker flag of the 2023A season. Job well done for Moreau Motorsports, especially for that 5 of Fred Moreau to bring it home for the team. Congratulations to Fred. Richie Coy's going to come home 2nd, Sherwood Williford 3rd, as you guys all just kind of slowly come through here. 5's going to have to wait for everyone to cross the line before he's going to do his burnout. We haven't seen Fred win too much. He has a lot of strong races. I'm glad to see him back in victory lane. The question is, will he find us in Nerd TV booth?
I'm sure he will. He ain't no stranger. He's been fast all night. I'm sure that he could probably find the Nerd TV booth just about as fast tonight as he was on the racetrack. But seriously, though, shout out to him. That restart, I really thought that right front damage was going to, for sure, probably do a heck of a lot on his race car. But fortunately, that number 5 Ford GT Mustang was really just lights out of that restart. He was able to get away from Richie Coy and Sherwood Williford tonight, and you see him right out to it burnouts against that inside rotating wall. But yeah, man, shocked tonight that he was able to hang on to that restart. That right front damage must have not been that bad if he was able to pick up the win here tonight at Phoenix. So congrats to Fred.
Interesting position to put your car in for a burnout. It's usually squared up with the wall, but no, he took it at a nice little sharp angle and made it happen still, as now he's doing some circular donuts. And we're going to kick it over to the unofficial results here, as the admins have to look over all the stats before they make everything official. Fred Moreau coming on P1, Richie Coy 2nd place, Sherwood Williford resides in 3rd, Wayne Grossi finishes in 4th, 5th place, Brody Hanna. 6th, Chad Lang. 7th place, Troy Torgerson. 8th place, Robert Melican. 9th place, Kyle Milliken. In top 10, Ryan Hedrick. Who do you have for 11th through 20?
11th, you got Brian Dublé there. That number 37 machine. 12th, you got Steve Loomis. 13th, Josh Mayu. Justin Diltz, 14th. Alan Crowell, 15th. Timothy Stubblefield, 16th. Nicholas Moreau, unfortunate circumstances, by far the dominant car here tonight. He'll come home 17th in that number 15 machine. Chris Beck is 18th. And then you got 19th, Stephen Allen there in the number 14. And then rounding out the top 20, you got Tony Solar right there in the number 11 machine.
21st, Joshua Johnson. 22nd, Justin Leash. 23rd, Chris Curtis. 24th, James Wallace. 25th, Brian Bliss. 26th place, Jeff Chandler. 27th, Ryan Chapman. 28th, Colton Gum. 29th, Stephen Lou Allen. 30th, Robert Anderson. 31st, Matthew Vachon. 32nd, Matt Knight. And tonight's 33rd place finisher, Jonathan Vachon, who took a crazy barrel roll early on in this race. We're going to go to full screen commercial break for the final time, get the top 2 or 3 wound up here, and we'll be back with you guys after a few messages. Full screen coverage here for the Martin Sports post-race show to conclude Phoenix Raceway's crazy 200 lapper here at Full Throttle Sim Racing and the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. We're going to bring in at least our 3rd and 2nd place finisher. We'll have to see if Fred can make the booth tonight. It's always iffy on that one, but bringing in 3rd place in the Goodrich Chevrolet Camaro, number 33 is Sherwood Williford. Do you have a copy, man?
Yes, sir.
Man, you had a little bit of an up and down day. The car was running pretty good overall. I would say it was a solid top 5 car, but then you were gifted a little bit when the top 3 kind of took each other out, gave you a couple spots, and you found yourself home in 3rd, man. Congratulations on the top 3 podium finish. How would you rank your night overall?
I would say the car was great because that long run, I ran the Moreau guys down, and I was all over them. Then the caution come out, and there at the end when I pounded the wall, it said I had wheel damage, and them last 25 laps was like driving a log wagon, man. It was hell to hang on to.
Yeah, man, Sherwood, you did such a good job tonight, man. Also, congratulations on 3rd place, man. You hung on to it after hitting that wall. Do you think you would have had enough speed possibly to maybe run down Fred there at the end had you not have hit the wall, even though we saw that the 19 was really strong and hunting you down there? But if you would have not hit the wall, do you think you would have had something for the 5?
It would have been very late in the run. It'd been close to finish if I did. My car was better on the long run, but I could run with them guys once got stretched out some.
Yeah, that first long run you guys had, you and the 6-7 of Wallace did a great amount of work coming from, I think, 2 seconds plus back to running to the back bumper of those guys before the pit stops happened. So, but nonetheless, though, awesome performance out there. Hopefully, you continue it throughout the rest of the season. But the floor is yours, Mr. Sherwood. Who would you like to thank out there this evening?
Well, the Blackwater guys, we all work good together. My team and their team, but Lane Allen done some great tweaks on the set. I mean, the car drove very good. One of the best driving cars I've had in this next gen series, and congratulations to him on a great set.
Well, appreciate the kind words, and go ahead and have a good rest of your night, and we'll catch you here next week.
All right, guys, thanks for the broadcast. Do a pretty good job there. Look forward to
Appreciate
watching it.
that. Absolutely, man. Have a good rest of your night. And that was the driver of the 33, Mr. Sherwood Williford, bringing home third place. Now it's time to bring in Fury Motorsports driver, the number 19, that DeWalt Ford Mustang. Richie Coy, do you have a copy?
What's up, nerds?
Honorary nerd gonna come home in second place tonight. Your night was pretty insane there. You had a really strong car. You and Nicholas Moreau were 1 and 2 halfway through the race. You're like, hey, I'm gonna shortcut this first stage. And then the very next lap, when they went back to green flag, you flipped over a car. You went back to like 10th place, and somehow you still found yourself in second place. So, pretty impressive night. How'd the car drive after the initial wreck there?
Horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to flip the stage a little bit. I thought more guys would pit with us and try to flip that stage, but it was just me and Sherwood. So heading back to, I think it was 22nd when we restarted, and I don't know, people were deciding to go 3 wide into turn 1 there, and not everybody knew we were 3 wide. And next thing I know, we were wrecking, and yeah, I got caught up. I ended up having over a minute of damage. And then I got caught up with another wreck, I think, on the next restart. So I had over a minute of damage. I got like 45 seconds of it done, and then the car was not as good as it was. And then from there, I just, did what we could do with the car, and then really lucked out. I mean, we lucked out when a couple guys got together in front of us. Lucked out when Sherwood hit the fence coming out of 2. Yeah, I had probably a 5th place car there at the end, and we took out a 2nd. So those are good days.
Yeah, Richie, man. Fellow New Jersey in here, man. Love the representing of New Jersey. I'm down the shore, man. Congratulations on 2nd place, by the way. Right there, obviously, we were just talking about it. Jeremy was talking about you were involved in the wreck there, and you tried to shortcut that first stage, really. Do you think, had you not have been involved in that wreck, do you think you would have had something for the Moreau brothers tonight, or maybe the rest of the field? Because you were a very fast car early on, despite the wreck, and we saw how fast you came up through the field. But if that wreck would not happen, you wouldn't have got involved in it. Do you think you would have had something for the win?
Well, I'd like to think so. I think what was going to end up happening was whoever got out in front, whether it was Nicholas, Fred, or myself, it's very tough to pass here, especially when you guys are running very similar times. So my plan was to short pit, and I was just going to try to eke my way through. I wasn't going to try to get stage points. I was just going to try to keep the tires nice and fresh, so that when they all pitted, I would have been up front, and that would have been my leapfrog. And it just didn't work out, and it didn't. That didn't work out, but other things did during the race, and we'll take 2nd. So what are you gonna do? I mean, it's how can you be mad at 2nd?
You did everything you could, and what happened was out of your control for the most part. So, but out of all the things that happened, you still brought it home in 2nd. I do believe you will resume as the points leader heading into week 5. So congrats on that, and hopefully you can sustain well as the current championship leader, a third of the way through the season. But the floor is yours. Who would you like to thank out there that's watching Nerd TV?
As always, Tony's mom and dad, they always watch you guys. Everybody else who watches, we appreciate everybody that watches your guys' stream, watches the league, supports the league. Thank you to you guys for obviously doing another, probably, I didn't watch it yet, but I'm sure it's another fantastic job. I can't wait to watch it later. Thank you to my team, Fury Motorsports. This was a rough one this week for us. We all kind of went in different directions with the setup. We all kind of wanted something different. So it was a rough one as a team. We did a lot of practicing on this and a lot of work for it, and I don't think Brody was as happy with his setup as I was. But we all work together very hard every week to try to get us the best product on the track. And thank you to the league.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are three different human beings, right? So you want something different sometimes, and it played well for your part. Brody did a pretty good job too. He held it up there in the top 10 all race long, so it wasn't too far off of you. But either way, congratulations again on second place. Go and celebrate, and we'll catch you on Wednesday.
All right, guys. Hopefully, I can make it one past turn 1 on Wednesday. That'd be nice.
That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't it? I had that
You sure
beautiful,
would.
that beautiful Martin Sports paint scheme, and it made it literally to turn 1, and then just got totally destroyed. But
Yeah,
we'll try it again at Atlanta and see if we can't do a little better.
it's going to be a fun one for sure, man. Good luck in that race.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too. That was the number 19, Richie Coy. And I don't think Fred Moreau is going to be joining us in the booth tonight. Been scouring the Discord channel. I don't see him. So, Jason, this is your first race here on Nerd TV watching Full Throttle Sim Racing. It was a wild one. We don't see this many cautions, but you were here to witness all of it. Overall, how do you rank your first night here?
Man, I tell you what, Jeremy, great job calling the race tonight. Love being a part of it. Also, shout out to Dustin behind the scenes, pressing the buttons tonight. Love the production, love it. Love all the fans that engage. Like that you guys really engage. All the fans watching, whether it be on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. A lot of people don't really do that. I really enjoyed the fact that we can engage with the fans. It's really nice to do that. Make them actually, engage into the broadcast. It makes them want to watch more. Want to know more about, whatever this car does and how this reacts to something and etc. But I mean, man, what a race! First half of the race, you had kind of a wreck fest. I hate to say it, but it really was. And then once we got to that second half of the race, after that second big one, it was lights out. Everybody was just calm, cool, collective. Had a few incidents here and there, but overall, the Moreau brothers, top of the charts tonight. Nobody was touching them tonight, maybe, except the 67 tonight of James Wallace. Unfortunate that him and the 15 got collected in that one instance with Nicholas. But really, I mean, shout out to Fred. Congratulations on his win. Hopefully he's listening right now. Fred, you did a great job, man. Good job. I mean, to Richie Coy, too, for coming back. A lot of drivers here we didn't really talk about earlier on in the race end up in the top 10 tonight. But overall, my first experience here over on Nerditude for Nerd TV was pretty awesome, to say the least, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you as well. And yeah, to touch upon Fred. Fred, we'd love, if you do watch the broadcast, or at least tonight anyways, we would love to see you qualify. I'd love to see you start first or top 5 and hold that lead the entire way. That'd be a fun one to watch. But it's also cool to watch someone go from 30th to 5th in the first third of the race. But either way, we're entertained by you regardless, and hopefully you have continued luck and success throughout the rest of the season as we trickle through the first third of it. But this is going to bring a close to the broadcast. We'd like to thank our partners one last time before we do close out the lights. Full Throttle Sim Racing, thank you. We've been doing this you guys have been doing this since 2006 on the NR 2003 platform. iRacing since 2017, so about 6 years now. These guys have tackled the iRacing service. So if you want to be part of this action with continued 30 plus cars each and every time you watch us here, head over to FTSR.net. Mach-1 Performance, the race car fabrication shop that's produced champions in all sorts of racing divisions. Find them at facebook.com/Mach-1 Performance. Sim Racing Points, the all-inclusive league points management system that allows to completely track the league stats and points with one simple upload. Visit simracingpoints.com to make your racing league look professional. Martin Sports, top quality apparel to make you look stylish and feel comfortable. See the whole apparel lineup at martinsports.gg or martinsports906.com. iRacing iFlag, get notifications a fraction of a second faster without ever leaving your focus from the racing action. Visit iracingiflag.com for a full product line. The Butt Kicker, get that ultimate feel from a race car with haptic response from the Butt Kicker. Visit thebuttkicker.com to see a full product lineup of haptic products for your sim rig. Team Watson Racing Setups, get quality professional built setups for all your asphalt oval needs. Visit teamwatsoncracing.com for pricing and packages. And lastly, Roasted Gems Coffee. Premium roasted coffee beans just for you. Start your day the right way with coffee from Roasted Gems Coffee. And you're going to find them at roastedgems.com. That's going to bring the close here for tonight's action from Nerd TV at Phoenix. We're going to resume week 5 at Atlanta as the trucks will tackle that Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It is scheduled on our YouTube page at YouTube/@Nerditudes. So please make sure to stay tuned. Engage with us. We'd love to hear from you as well. But until then, stay safe. Get your nerd on.